Chapter 847. The sun was right, the clouds were in the lake, the water was flowing over the hills, and the leaves were dense. The Jing forest heard the sound and the feathers fell. It was desolate. The original Jian and prefecture was now separated from Jian and county. On the road to here, the group endured the scorching sun and the sultry woods and walked hard. Thirsty, still thirsty. Xiao Bei, who had drunk a lot of water, rubbed the dust mixed with sweat with her sleeves. Her face was flushed, and she pouted and said that she was thirsty. Xiao Yuan quickly handed over a water bag. Hold on a little longer. According to the approximate location, we should be reaching the letter soon. That was the place where the commander-in-chief worked. It's big and spacious. I can't hold on anymore. My heart is so cold. I haven't seen a single person along the way. What kind of lousy county is this? If there's no one, who will govern it? Xiao Bei drank a lot of water and stuck out her tongue to lick her sweet lips. She still felt thirsty even though she was full. She muttered and found a high place. She stood on it and looked around with binoculars, hoping to find someone. Then, as the county magistrate of Jianan County, she could play a role. The group stopped and found a shady place to rest and replenish their water. Xiao Hai still looked indifferent even if the sky fell down. Xiao Zhu took the drawing board and insisted on sketching. Zhang Gang, Zhang Chong, and Zhang Fong seemed to be affected by genetic factors. Their parents used to live in the mountains, so they were more adaptable. Xiao Yuan muttered, "Heaven is strong, a gentleman should strive to improve himself." To encourage herself. The 100 children who were guards had grown a lot taller. Although they were tired, they still fulfilled their duties. Some of them rested, and some of them dispersed to prepare for unexpected situations. In a circle about 1 kilometer away from them, there were 400 adults scattered around, hiding in the dark. The 400 people were wearing camouflage uniforms, hats made from the nearby grass on their heads, and field boots on their feet. Each of them had a long gun in their hands, and the barrels of the guns were wrapped with camouflage vines, trying to prevent the sunlight from reflecting on the scopes. This group of people was naturally arranged by Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. First, they were responsible for protecting Xiao Bei and the others. Second, it was a kind of training. They brought what they should carry and were not allowed to enter the county to resupply in the open. They were also responsible for the safety of Xiao Bei and the others. Once Xiao Bei and the others finished their official positions, they would also finish their training. Xiao Bei wiped his face with a wet towel. When a gust of wind blew, he felt refreshed. He shook the water skin twice and saw that there wasn't much water inside. He took out a small pouch from his pocket and pinched some salt into it. He shook the pouch a few times and drank it with his eyes closed. Party members, we still have to persevere. We can't give up halfway. The road ahead is bright. It's filled with hope. Xiao Bei, can we not be so bureaucratic? I know you've been learning a lot. Take a break. Once you've regained your strength, you'll be on your way. I reckon that there are still people in the martial manor. They won't all move away. When the time comes, you can tell them that we don't need this anymore. Xiao Yuan didn't wait for Xiao Bei to finish speaking. He grinned and waved his hand. It was not easy for Xiao Bei to organize his vocabulary. He was just about to practice speaking like this when he was interrupted by Xiao Yuan. He was clearly unhappy. The others are not saying anything. You're the only one who's pouring cold water on me. When we enter the city, it'll be your responsibility if we don't see anyone. Okay, I'll take responsibility. If there's no one, I'll resign and become a commoner. What do you think? Xiao Yuan had also drunk a lot of water. He looked at the dust floating in the sunlight through the leaves. There was no part of his body that didn't feel uncomfortable. In addition to them, there was one other person in the group. He was the only adult. When the others were resting, he was responsible for keeping watch. Looking at the children and the weeds on the road ahead, he stood with his hands behind his back and said loudly, "The long wind blows through the dense forest. The fragrant grass is green and the sparse clouds are sparse. The changes do not change for 10,000 years. The vicissitudes of life, the wind and rain, the rain and the rain. Uncle Li Bai, oh brother, do you want to drink again? You've drunk almost all the wine we brought. You can't drink anymore. When we enter the city, we'll ask people to look for fruits. We'll use this wine as a starter to brew wine. If you drink it all, there won't be any left in a year. Xiaobei took out the exercise book from his bag and wanted to look at the questions. When he heard Li Bai's voice, he pouted and put the exercise book back. He really didn't want to talk to Li Bai about the wine. Li Bai originally wanted to drink. When he came here, he brought 5 water bags of wine. He drank 4 bags along the way and only had 1 bag left. When he wanted to take a sip, he was stopped by Xiaobei and others. They said that if he had the first sip, he would want the second sip. It wouldn't take long for him to finish the last bag of wine. He had to force himself to hold back. Thinking of this, Li Bai looked very helpless. When he came to Jili from Panglai, he was ready to meet Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan and let them directly recommend him to be an official in the capital. Who knew that the two had left in advance and left a message for him to be an official here with a group of children. They said that after a year, when Xiaobei and others knew what it was like to be an official, they would go back to Jili with them and arrange for them to go to the capital. He didn't know how to survive a year. Well, I've rested enough. We can continue. Work hard. When we reach the city today, we can have a good rest. Don't be in a hurry to look for people. Children recovered quickly. After a while, Xiaobei was full of strength again. Looking up at the sun, he gritted his teeth and decided to hold on and finish the last part of the journey. Hearing Xiaobei's words, the group of children quickly packed their bags and stood in a row. They surrounded the 9 most important people and began to move forward. Li Bai was also tired and hadn't had lunch yet. Seeing Xiaobei start to move, he had to follow him, hoping to reach the destination quickly and then eat a full meal to recuperate. After more than a month of traveling, he was obviously thin. When the children moved, the people in the distance also moved. They only ate a little and didn't dare to eat too much. They were afraid that the blood would gather in their stomachs and the blood supply to their heads would be insufficient, which would affect their reaction speed. The sun gradually set in the west. When the sky was full of red clouds, the city wall finally appeared in front of them. It was the outer city of the governor's mansion of Jian'an. The wall made of mud was only a little higher than Xiaobei and others. The adults could jump over it as long as they tried hard. The outer city wall was full of weeds and there were a few wild flowers swaying in the wind. It looked very sad. At this time, Xiaozhu took out a map and looked at it. Then she pointed to the place in front of them and said, "There is a call here. After the call you can see the inner city wall. You don't have to continue to spend the night in the wild." Hearing Xiaozhu's words, the children became much more energetic. They took small steps and sped up. Li Bai rubbed his stomach, which had been so hungry that he didn't feel anything, and also followed the children. He looked at the setting sun again and hid behind the colorful clouds like an egg yolk. The call on the map soon appeared in front of everyone. Compared with the canyon, the mountains around the call were not so high. It was like a basin and the area was bigger than the canyon. Usually it was formed by the erosion of a river, but there was no river. It was like a small plain, but it was uneven. The group of children lowered their heads and hurried on with all their might. As they walked, the person in charge of scouting ahead suddenly stopped. One of them turned his head and happily shouted to Xiaobei, "Xiaobei, there are people farming here. The beans that they're planting are obviously not left behind in the past." Where? Me see." Xiaobei rushed forward happily and carefully observed. Sure enough, the ridge and gully that should have been barren was still there. Bean seedlings grew there, but they had not borne fruit yet. The seedlings were not full of weeds like they had seen on the road. "Spread out, let me see how much of the place is planted with beans." Xiaobei was happy. If there was food growing on the ground, it meant that there was someone managing it. If there was someone, He would not be an official without an army. The children spread out and ran out, carefully stepping on the ground. They only stopped when they stood in a place where there was no food growing. There is rice here. It's dry rice. It doesn't grow well. A child's guard stood in the distance, gathered together and shouted to Xiaobei. There are cucumbers here. They are in a frame, but the leaves are yellow. It should be because they haven't been watered for a long time. Another child stood in the distance and shouted. Where I am standing is a small river. There are small fish swimming in the river. There is wheat planted by the river. Seems that it can be harvested. Third voice sounded. As the children found a place where there were no more crops, one business after another sounded one after another. Xiaobei listened to the sounds of movement and used his binoculars to look around, estimating the approximate area. After seeing all the children standing there motionless, Xiaobei nodded in satisfaction. The area is really not small. I don't think a single family can handle it. How big is the cucumber field? Let's water the cucumber field first. After shouting, Xiaobei took the bag on her back to the front and pulled out something that looked like a round pancake. She fiddled with it a few times and pulled it up. A bucket made of cloth and steel wires suddenly appeared in front of Li Bai. Li Bai had never seen such a strange thing. He asked in confusion, "What is this?" "Bucket. This bucket is easy to carry and can hold a lot of water. It can be folded and stretched, just like the sleeping bags and tents we used when we came here. Isn't it fun?" Xiaobei picked up the bucket and ran toward the river. She said to Li Bai, who was running next to her. Li Bai nodded. It's fun. He had never seen such a strange thing. He had seen buckets made of bamboo, wood, and ceramics. Rich people also had buckets made of iron, but he had never seen a bucket that could be folded. He followed Xiaobei to the river and watched the children work together to fill the buckets with water and carry them to the cucumber field. He was stunned for a while and muttered to himself, "The Zhang family and the Wang family are really amazing. Even the buckets are different from those of other places." Looking at the buckets of water being poured into the furrows, a group of children took out folding shovels. This time Li Bai was no longer surprised. It seemed that everything could be folded. He wondered who came up with this idea. Seeing Xiaobei and the others working hard to water the cucumber field, Li Bai raised his head and looked at the sky. He said to Xiaobei, "If we don't hurry, it will be completely dark." "It's okay. We can still walk in the dark. There are people here. We are the Strong Children's Sapling Protection Group. We have to take good care of the saplings. In a few days we will be able to eat cucumbers." Xiaobei insisted on watering the cucumber field. Since she found that there were people here, her fatigue seemed to have suddenly disappeared. The sun finally set at the foot of the mountain. The sky was not completely dark yet. Under the efforts of the children, the cucumber field finally became moist. At this moment, the cheerful and melodious sound of a flute suddenly reached everyone's ears. There was no specific tune, as if the flute was played according to the mood of the flute. Even if the flute was repeated in the same place, there were still a few differences. Xiaobei and the others looked in the direction of the sound in puzzlement. This was a mountain valley, so the sound came from all directions. It took Xiaobei and the others a while to find the source of the sound. They saw two cows coming from the west, one in front and one behind. Sitting on the back of the cow in front was a child, who was about 2 years older than Xiaobei and 4 or 5 years younger than the guards. The child placed a bamboo flute in front of her mouth and leisurely walked diagonally forward. It seemed that she wanted to go home through the mountain valley. Sigh. Wait a moment. Xiaobei's eyes were fixed on the shepherd boy, as if she was afraid that he would suddenly disappear. She tiptoed, waved her arms, and shouted with all her might. Her clear voice echoed through the mountains, attracting the shepherd boy's attention. The sound of the flute suddenly stopped. Xiao Yuan saw the child open his mouth and widen his eyes as he looked in their direction through the binoculars. Xiaobei wanted to take a closer look at her people, so she continued shouting, "Hey! Come here, come here. Is this your land? The child on the cow's back was clearly frightened. He looked over nervously and hesitated for a moment. Finally, he mustered his courage and made the cow walk over. When he came close, he saw a group of children in front of him. Some were older than him, while others were younger. There was also an adult standing by the side. He observed the clothes the adult was wearing and then realized that he was only wearing a pair of pants. He lowered his head in self-abasement and hesitated, refusing to let the cow walk forward. He didn't come over, but Xiao Bei couldn't wait any longer and ran towards him. When she was in front of him and looked at the obedient cow, Xiao Bei revealed what she thought was her cutest smile. She asked the little boy on the cow, "Is this your land? How many people do you have? Where do you live? Is the food you planted today enough to eat? Why didn't you move away with the others? What's the tune you're playing? Do you have any other livestock or poultry in your house?" Xiao Bei, who felt that she was an official and had to understand the people, asked one question after another. The boy on the cow's back was completely dumbfounded. Seeing that the boy did not speak, Xiao Bei became anxious. She was about to go forward and pull him down when Xiao Yuan ran to the side and grabbed Xiao Bei. She said to the boy, "We are not bad people. We are all good children. We help to water your house." Hearing Xiao Yuan's words, the boy's serious vigilance was obvious. He pursed his lips stubbornly but did not say anything. At this time, Li Bai shook his head and walked forward. He said to the boy, "Go, we won't stop you. Go home quickly." When the little boy saw the only adult coming over, he patted the bull's back with his hand. The bull under him very intelligently took 2 steps back before it turned around and continued to walk in the direction it wanted to go. The little boy didn't say a word from beginning to end. Looking at the back of the boy, Xiao Bei regretfully smacked her lips and said to Li Bai, "Why did you let him go? If I don't go, how can I find the adults in his house? Let's go and have a look." When Li Bai saw that there were really people, he completely gave up. When he came here, he knew that most of the people here had moved away. He thought that Xiao Bei and the others would go back to Jili province after seeing that there were no other people. Then he could go back with them and see Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. He would try to find a way to get them to recommend him. Now that he saw them and got to know them along the way, he knew that Xiao Bei would never give up. Even if there was only one family, Xiao Bei would be an official until the end. Therefore he could not go back. Otherwise, if Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were angry, they would not recommend him or even say a few bad words. Xiao Bei's eyes were still on the 2 cows. She stretched her neck and looked again. Then she nodded and said, "Then let's go. When we get to the city we can boil some hot water and take a good bath. We can sleep at night. Tomorrow we will get up and do homework. Yes, we must do it." When Xiao Bei and the others followed the 2 cows and left, a pigeon flew out of the woods and quickly headed for Jili province. Compared to the younger brother and sister who found the people who were still alive, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, who were waiting for someone to assassinate them by the mud river, were very disappointed. The place and time where they appeared every day had not changed. The guards also did not see them. Even so, no one came to kidnap them. I guess it's because our status is too low to be valued by others. That's why no one came to assassinate us, let alone kidnap us. Zhang Xiaobao was tired of fishing. During the day he had to deal with many things at night, which consumed a lot of energy. He threw the fish he caught into the net that was covered with stones and flushed in the water. Then Zhang Xiaobao said helplessly. Wang Wan narrowed her eyes and dozed off. When she heard Zhang Xiaobao's voice she echoed, "Yes, we're not worthy of being assassinated. Means that they don't like us. What should we do?" "Don't worry. Think of a way to make them like us. Whether it's the Japanese or the Xinhua people, we have to find an excuse to make a move. Tonight, I'll write a letter and send it to the merchants in Jiangnan East to let them take action." Zhang Xiaobao decided to take the initiative and force others to attack him and Wang Wan. That way he could find an excuse. What if no one touches us? Wang Wan did not think that the Japanese and the Xinhua people had the guts. I guarantee that they will do it. If you don't believe me, just watch me. There won't be any problems within half a month. Zhang Xiaobao said with certainty. Wang Wan thought for a while and finally understood Zhang Xiaobao's meaning. She agreed, that's good. We can also see the reaction of all sides. You arrange it. I'll sleep for a while. Li Longji sent his troops to the Turkic steppe. Maybe he will directly take action. I'm really worried that he will take action. The current Turkic steppe is different from the previous one. Previously there were many internal conflicts. If the Tang Empire didn't attack them, they were willing to submit. But once they find that the Tang Empire has the absolute advantage, all their internal conflicts will disappear and they will turn to the outside world. I hope that the person leading the troops won't be rash just because they have weapons. Zhang Xiaobao said as he took out a fishing rod from the side. He looked at the bait that had been eaten and the remaining hook was bare. He put the bait on again and threw it with all his strength. Accompanied by the whistling sound of the air, the lead fell into the water again, rippling circles of irregular ripples, which were immediately washed away by the current. 5 days passed quickly. Zhang Xiaobao still came to fish every day, but he no longer cared about whether the fishing rod was moving or not. He freed up his hands to arrange homework for his younger siblings. Come and listen. See if this question is okay. And Little Wolf said that I can run 5 li in a quarter of an hour. You little lambs can only run 3 li. I'm currently 6 li away from you. Tell me how far is the furthest your home is from me. Can you return home by the time I catch up to you? Zhang Xiaobao read word by word. He held a pen in his hand and marked the words with pinyin. Sometimes he would make a few mistakes so that his younger siblings could correct them. Wang Wan had a smile on her face the entire time. After hearing Zhang Xiaobao's question, she sighed and said, "Back then, you should have become a teacher. I remember that when I was studying, no teacher ever taught me like this. They all followed the textbook and occasionally gave me some application questions, but they were all extremely boring. If every teacher could be like you, I believe that children would have more fun learning, and they would not be so resistant to learning. Unfortunately, there are very few, really very few. Of course, these are my younger siblings. I have to put in a lot of effort to make them willing to learn. In fact, I can't blame those teachers. They teach so many students and there are many lessons every day. If they were all like me, wouldn't they be exhausted to death? Do you think storytelling is such an easy thing? If it was really easy, there would not only be a small number of people writing fairy tales. Fortunately, we have a good starting point now. Many teachers in schools have also approved of our method. I hope that all teachers in the future can follow suit and form a tradition." Zhang Xiaobao did not go to school much. Even if he heard Wang Wan say that teachers were not good, he still felt that it was a blessing to be able to be taught. Wang Wan was a little disapproving. It's all because of the enrollment rate. A teacher's salary is linked to a child's exam results. Children have good memories. As long as they memorize hard and then get a high score in the exam, that's enough. Actually, I think that teachers' salaries are too low. We should continue to raise it. We should have a salary of 10,000 yuan a month. Those who can't build a good foundation for the students should be fired. A high salary can also be used on teachers. Also, unless the teacher in charge of an elementary school is affected by irresistible factors, they should be taught from grade 1 to grade 6. Then when this matter is over, the two of us will make a rule and let the current teachers follow it. Zhang Xiaobao did not want to continue thinking because he could not understand Wang Wan's words. He felt that it was good enough as long as he could sit in school and study. Compared to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan's leisure, Li Dong, the leader of the newly established business alliance in Xinhua, was not relaxed at all. The negotiations were in a deadlock from time to time. He also knew that the conditions offered by Zhengzheng Construction were good. He wanted to agree several times, but the other businessmen in the alliance still thought that it was profitable and wanted to force Zhang Tai to make concessions. Previously, when Zhang Tai was alone, he could play the emotional card. However, at that time the people in the alliance thought that Zhang Xiaobao was alone and did not have enough energy. They thought that Zhang Xiaobao wanted to build the road as soon as possible. Therefore, they pressured Zhang Tai to compromise. However, when they pressured Zhang Tai too much, Zhang Tai turned hostile. Now that they continued to negotiate, it was useless to play the emotional card. Zhang Tai found a team that was in charge of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang business. It was called the negotiation team, and it was indeed worthy of its name. When it came to negotiations, there was no place to start. The foundation of Xinluo's party had been completely taken away by the other party. Guys, the day before yesterday, the negotiation team of Zhengjing Construction said that today is the last time. If we can't pass, they will build the road themselves. They don't need our 1 million strings of coins. By then, if we want to send our goods out, we have to pay for that road. Their road might not be built in the place designated by us. Tell me about it, what's the bottom line? I will talk to Zhang Tai after a while. Actually, I'm most worried that Zhang Xiaobao would play other tricks when he gets angry. It's not that I look down on us, but I'm really not a match for Zhang Xiaobao in terms of tricks. Li Dong called those who were here for the last negotiation to the third floor of Chong Feng building and told them 1 million strings of coins was really nothing for Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. Even though they had very little liquid capital, they could easily take out 1 million strings of coins. If they couldn't take out 1 million strings of coins, they could call for help. By then, when so many businessmen in Tang heard that they were looking for someone to cooperate with them, they could even provide 100 million strings of coins, not to mention 1 million strings of coins. However, this amount was too much for the businessmen in Xinluo. At the beginning, the 20-odd businessmen couldn't afford it at all. At the same time, they didn't want to manage such a big thing by themselves. Therefore, later on, they found some familiar businessmen and formed an alliance. By then, they had over 100 members. At this moment, the 100 people started to ponder after hearing Li Dong's words. After a while, someone asked, I want to know, once the road is fixed, whose shop it will be connected to, whose shop will be the closest, and who will be the most popular. How can Zhang Xiaobao guarantee this? Li Dong knew what this person meant. It wasn't about who was the closest, but where the road would be fixed. It would be best if it could be fixed in a curve and then build a wall to block it. At that time, all the shops would be taken care of. All right, I'll ask about this. It's best to meet everyone's requirements, Li Dong said after some consideration. I have a question, another person said. Previously, he didn't have many questions because he had been conflicted about the division of the toll fee paid by the businessmen after the road was fixed. Now that the other party didn't agree, he could only return to reality. What I want to say is the standard of goods set by the Tang Empire. I used to sell things to the Tang Empire by water and land. Their standard is too high, and we don't have such good technology. As a result, the price of the same raw material is several times higher than ours after they process it once. Shouldn't this be adjusted downward? Or should they give us the technology so that we can also grasp it? Otherwise, we will be at a disadvantage. When we smelt copper and sell it to them, they will process it and decorate it on jewelry. The price of copper will be more than 6 times higher than ours. After this person finished speaking, he sighed and looked bitter. The others nodded secretly. It was indeed as he said. Due to the technical limitation, the price of the same raw material was very different. The more they thought about it, the more sullen they felt. How could Li Dong not understand? But when he heard this person's words, he shook his head and said, I'm afraid it won't work. The people of Zhengjing Construction are discussing the road with us. Has nothing to do with the goods. If it were us, we wouldn't use the road to talk about the technology of the goods. How about this? I'll mention it when we negotiate with them later today. Even if they don't agree this time, I'll ask them if they can negotiate with us again about the rules of the goods. No one had any objections this time. They stood up, and a few people who had met Zhang Tai with Li Dong walked out together to participate in the last negotiation. Zhang Tai, who was waiting in the other room, was not in a hurry at all. He knew that at the beginning, the little young master had planned to connect the river. However, as things developed, the little young master was no longer satisfied with just connecting the river. He started to make a bigger plan. Since the plan was big, he naturally could not think about solving the problem in a short period of time. Connecting the river was no longer a single goal. He had to make some concessions for the bigger goal. Of course, he believed that the little young master would definitely be able to connect all the dots in the end and teach Exine Luo a lesson. He would let them know that they should not interfere in things that they should not interfere in. After a short while, Zhang Tai's team and Li Dong's team sat at the two ends of the negotiation table. The last negotiation involved a lot of specific matters. Unlike the first negotiation, Exine Luo only considered the division of profits. Therefore it took them a bit more time. From the morning they had lunch at noon. When the sun set in the evening they had lunch and had a short rest. When the evening lights shone and the morning star reached the middle of the sky, the tired people finally settled the matter. As for the division of profits, there was no change at all. Jingzheng Construction would pay 10 million strings of cash. 80% of the profits would be sent to Exine Luo in Jili Province. 20% of the profits would be sent to Exine Luo in Jili Province. 1 million strings of cash would be sent to Exine Luo in one go. 20% of the profits would be sent to Exine Luo from Exine Luo. After this matter was settled, no one raised a new question. According to Li Dong's opinion, the road in Exine Luo should be curved so as to make it convenient for the businessmen who paid the money. However, Zhang Tai's team generously proposed that the road should not be curved. Instead, they should start from the border and build several forks. They would pass through the shops of the businessmen who paid for Exine Luo in a straight line. Some places for stalls would be built on both sides of the road. The stalls would belong to the shops of the businessmen who paid for them. They could rent or sell the stalls. Others were not allowed to set up stalls on the roadside where there were no stalls. As for this point, if the fee was not enough, Zhengzheng Construction would pay a part of the fee. They would definitely build all the roads. By then, Exine Luo could set up checkpoints on the roads and collect customs duties. After this plan was proposed by Zhang Tai, Li Dong's team became dubious. When did Zhang Xiaobao become so kind-hearted? Zhang Xiaobao's consideration was too thorough and comfortable. They had never thought that they would be able to earn money from the specially built roadside seats. If it wasn't for Zhang Xiaobao's criminal record, he would definitely be a great philanthropist. After this matter was settled, the businessmen of Exine Luo happily raised 1 million strings of coins and sent them to Zhang Tai the next day. Among them, more than 500,000 strings of coins were banknotes of the Tang dynasty. Exine Luo's own currency system was not perfect. They used to use the copper coins of the Tang dynasty, but now they dared to use the banknotes of the Tang dynasty. They were also learning from the Tang dynasty to make their own currency. They did not want to continue relying on the Tang dynasty. Otherwise, it would be easy for problems to arise. This time they were just experimenting. Exine Luo did not dare to imitate the Tang dynasty to make banknotes for fear of being counterfeited. However, they made an alloy. The specific metal was kept a secret, and the content of each metal was also kept a secret. In this way, the volume and weight became the way to test the authenticity. It accounted for 1/10 of this transaction, which was equivalent to 100,000 strings of coins of the Tang dynasty. However, during the exchange, because the Tang dynasty had a technological advantage, the ratio was larger. 10 coins of Exine Luo could be exchanged for 1 coin of the Tang dynasty. The specific purchasing power was not easy to calculate. It involved the price of manpower, cost, and the difference in the value of goods due to the influence of technology on both sides. Li Dong had made a rough calculation and felt that Exine Luo was at a disadvantage. In terms of purchasing power, Exine Luo's money was not worth this much. After solving the problem of road construction, Zhang Tai generously sold another technology about weaving and silkworm breeding. After Exine Luo's people were familiar with it, they could also make good-looking silk. In this way, they would not have to continue to rely on the Tang dynasty. Li Dong gave this technology to the Exine Luo imperial clan who had contacted him. He even made a great contribution. He wanted to increase the value of his country's currency after mastering the technology. Hearing Li Dong's occasional thoughts, Zhang Tai was a bit worried. After arranging the road construction, he found Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan and told them about it. "Young master, young lady, that's the way it is. Shouldn't we think of something? Otherwise, if Xian Luo's currency becomes valuable, we will suffer a loss." Zhang Tai knew that he should not give advice to the young master and young lady, but he still couldn't help saying it. After hearing Zhang Tai's words, Zhang Xiaobao suddenly burst out into laughter. His laughter grew louder and louder. Finally, he covered his stomach and rolled on the ground. "Ha ha ha ha, I'm dying of laughter. How could such a silly person increase the value of the currency? Does it mean that his internal inflation or purchasing power will increase? Ha ha ha, I can't take it anymore. My stomach hurts. Cuckoo, pinch me. I'm going to burst out laughing." Wang Wan also pursed her lips and smiled as she told Zhang Tai, "I know you're loyal, but don't worry about this. Xian Luo is tired of living. How dare you link your currency with Tang Dynasty's currency? Do you know what your young master does? Forget it, you won't understand even if I tell you. Just treat it as if it didn't happen. Build the road. The quality must be guaranteed. Even if it's Xian Luo's currency, it can't be fake, which will weaken the reputation of Zhengjing Construction. Go ahead." After receiving the assurance of the young master and young lady, Zhang Tai felt much more reassured, even though he didn't understand why Xian Luo's currency would suffer a loss when it was exchanged with Tang Dynasty's currency. Young master and young lady are very smart. Don't worry about other things. Build the road first. After that, let Xian Luo's people connect the river. Chapter 848. After reaching an agreement, Zhengjing Construction showed its unique efficiency in front of the merchants of Xinlua. The construction supervision team of 1,000 people arrived at their respective supervision sections in just one day. No one knew where they had been hiding for the past few days. Due to the connection of the Mud River and the Yishui River, the Xinlua people who were fighting stopped physical contact and started to take over the work of road construction. They didn't need to understand the drawings as long as they had the strength to understand the words of the supervisors. Numerous sand and stones were dredged out of the river and knocked down from the mountain, piling up on both sides of the former path. Various tools were distributed to the Xinlua people while bags of cement were transported to the place like falling from the sky. Under the expectant gaze of the merchants of Xinlua, the firecrackers were set off. After worshipping the earth god, the construction officially started. Here, there, and here we need to build cement roads. The connecting roads are made of sand and stones. It's not that we don't want to use cement. It's that we don't want to build cement roads. Firstly, we don't have enough cost. Secondly, horses' hooves will be worn out before they reach the place. At the construction site, Zhang Tai patiently explained to Li Dong why they didn't build cement roads. After hearing Zhang Tai's words, Li Dong was enlightened. After being silent for a short while, he asked, "Can the forks inside be built with cement?" "Course. Don't worry, Mr. Li. The buildings built by Zhengjing Group are guaranteed to be of good quality. At this moment, the road in Jili province should also be built. You can send people to check it. According to the plan, it will be finished in half a year." Zhang Tai looked like a professional as he unfolded the drawing and circled some points. After that, he started to talk about the details. Li Dong didn't know the real strength of Zhengjing Construction. Therefore, he couldn't estimate the completion time. No matter what, Zhengjing Construction was always praised by others. "Half a year. Even if you give me 10 half a year, I still can't build a spacious road from Jili province to Xinlua. However, it has nothing to do with Xinlua. I have to connect Jili province to Daxing City. The road there is not easy to walk on. Besides, there's a river. The Yalu River bypasses the Changbai Mountain and is now called the Taibai Mountain. If you go northwest, you can reach Mongolia. If you go northeast, you can reach the Heishui Commander-in-Chief Mansion. Even if it is difficult to go against the current, you can send the resources of the two places to Jili province. Zhang Xiaobao, who was waiting for others to assassinate him, spread out the map and discussed the strategic layout with Wang Wan. This was also the reason why Jili province cooperated with Xinlua at the same time. They did not intend to build a good road to pass through, but others could not see it. Wang Wan looked at the lines and annotations that Zhang Xiaobao had just made on the drawing. She sighed and said, "Is this a professional habit? Originally, it was to solve the problem of someone obstructing the construction of the two rivers. In the end, in your hands, it became such a big scheme. If I didn't know that you wouldn't lie to me, I would have thought that you were painting a big picture for me. People like you are really worrying. I'm just taking advantage of the situation. You said that the land road can't be built. When our people come back from North America, they will bring so many crops and plant them in the Heishui Commander-in-Chief Mansion and Heilongjiang at that time. If they can't be transported out, won't they all rot in the field? I'm not an official who casually deceives for political achievements. I have to lay a good foundation for the entire Northeast region. It's important to increase the yield of new crops in the future, but more important is to maximize the benefits. We rule the north of Hebei province, so we have to play it like a game of chess," Zhang Xiaobao said very seriously. He swiped his big hand on the map. The three provinces in the northeast, including North Korea and Russia, were all covered. Look at you. You want to rule the entire north of Hebei province. You are just a provincial governor of Jili province. When so many of our craftsmen have built the overall industrial base, we will start to build railways. We will find craftsmen with flexible minds and let them learn more to form a system and set up a professional college. We can't lose traditional Chinese medicine. Many pharmacological theories are still good. We will gradually develop it then. Western medicine will also be integrated like now. In the future, there will be no traditional Chinese medicine and Western medicine. There will only be a medical system that interacts and blends like genetic chains," Wang Wan said, her eyes full of yearning. She leaned her head on Zhang Xiaobao's shoulder and enjoyed the breeze blowing from the river. Zhang Xiaobao slightly adjusted his posture to let Wang Wan lean on him more comfortably. He looked up at the sky and said, "Hand over Shuyan. Fly to Jianan and bring back a letter from Xiaobei. I haven't seen Shuyan for a while. I don't know what it is doing. I heard from Zhang Ying that Shuyan looks like it has found someone it likes. Let's guess if it will succeed. What does its partner look like? One head and two wings. It's as big as an eagle, isn't it? You feel it. Don't worry, it will never grow into a chicken. Hooligan, I'm talking about Shuyan. If you put that dirty thing near my hand again, I will pinch it off for you. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. Uncle Sure I sigh. Let me discuss something with you, okay? Find all the people who are still here. I will provide you with good tools and bring you to prosperity." Xiaobei finally settled down in the former Jianan Commander-in-Chief's mansion, now Jianan District. The 100 children were divided into groups and used local materials to repair the house. The conditions were very difficult. Xiaobei found the child who herded cows and saw that there were 7 people in his family. Including the others who hid because of her arrival, there were probably more than 300 people in total. This number of people was too little compared to the first and second counties in Jili province. Even if they were few, Xiaobei could not meet them. Only the family surnamed Shi did not move away because of the stubbornness of the owner. Xiaobei found them today and wanted to discuss with them to gather the remaining people around them and build a place. Early in the morning, she took a few pheasants that she caught yesterday and chose the 2 best ones. She imitated how her brother made the beggar's pheasants and put them in a basket while they were hot. Then, she carried them to this house with Xiao Yuan. She originally planned to show her identity. Later, she thought that Xiao Yuan disliked her for always being pretentious. She decided to be honest and express her thoughts. It was impossible to tell the age of the Uncle Shi that he was referring to. This surname was obtained from the mouth of a child who was hiding not too far away when the guard was surveying the terrain. That child was frightened to death. The guard did not dare to capture him and bring him to Xiaobei, for fear of leaving a bad impression. At this moment, Old Sher was looking at Xiao Bei with a kind of benevolent eyes. The rough skin on his face was wrinkled like the furrows in the fields. His hair was thin and loose, and there were several patches on his coarse linen clothes. The veins on his root-like arms were protruding, and his grayish-brown fingernails were sharp. When he heard Xiao Bei's words, he reached out and touched Xiao Bei's head. He smiled until his face was squeezed together. His eyes were almost blocked. He said to Xiao Bei, "I heard the boy call you Xiao Bei. Is your name Xiao Bei?" "Yes, it's Xiao Bei. Uncle Sher, I brought you a chicken, the beggar's pheasant. It's delicious. Try it. Don't forget to help Xiao Bei find other people. Otherwise, Xiao Bei won't be able to stay as an official." Xiao Bei did not avoid the old man's hand and said with a pout. The old man Wei nodded. "Which family is this child from? He's so good-looking. Xiao Bei, where are the adults at home? I shouldn't let you run around. What if you meet bad people? In the capital, my father is the minister of the Ministry of Works. My mother is a first-rank noble. I'm a fourth-rank physician and an imperial censor. I'm an official of the Supreme Court and the county magistrate of Jianan County. I'm the parent official here. Uncle Sher, you must help me. I'll make beggar's pheasant for you." Xiao Bei was very honest and told the old man his identity. The series of official titles made the old man stare blankly, but he could only understand the two titles of minister and county magistrate. As for the titles of doctor and doctor, he had no idea at all. "Oh, good, Xiao Bei is an official. Xiao Yuan has to work hard too." The old man squinted his eyes and rubbed Xiao Bei's head again. "Uncle Sher, Xiao Yuan is also an official. He's a fourth-rank physician and an imperial censor. He's an official of the Supreme Court and the county magistrate of Jianan County. He's a little younger than me. His father is also a high-ranking official. His mother is also a first-rank noble. Uncle Sher, I'm telling the truth. If you don't believe me, take a look." As Xiao Bei spoke, he knew that the old man did not believe him. He took out a goldfish bag and a silverfish bag and waved them in front of the old man. He regretted that he did not wear his official uniform and did not bring his official seal. Seeing that the old man was still smiling, Xiao Bei spread his hands helplessly and continued, "Uncle Sher, I'm not lying to you. Xiao Yuan and my family are very powerful. My brother and sister stomp their feet, and the whole Tang Empire trembles. If you can find them all, I'll give you an official position. The official position I'll give is different. You can have a piece of land here where you don't have to pay rent." "Oh, you don't want to pay rent now, so let's not talk about this. Other than rent, my official position can also receive the benefits provided by my family's business. Let me count. There are silk fabrics, furniture, soybean oil, medicine, fungus, kelp. Oh, it's called kuanbu. In the winter you can even eat vegetables. Anyway, there are many benefits." As Xiao Bei spoke, he counted with his fingers for the old man to hear. Good official position. I'll take whatever official position Xiao Bei is given. Come and rest. Stay at this old man's house for lunch. I'll make mushrooms for you." The old man smiled even more kindly. No matter how he looked at it, he felt that Xiao Bei and Xiao Yuan were very good-looking. "Oh, Uncle Sher, I'm really an official. I'm Xiao Bei from the Zhang family of Sanshui County. My family has business between the clouds and the water, as well as the blue sea silver sand. Anyway, there are many businesses. Uncle Sher, have you heard of them?" "Uncle Sher." As Xiao Bei spoke, the old man was stunned. He quickly asked again. "The Zhang family and the Wang family of Sanshui County. Between the clouds and the water, in the middle of the mountain beside the water. You're a child from their family." The old man finally became serious. Xiao Bei nodded vigorously. Yes, Xiao Bei." Chapter 849. Do you have any important matters to discuss today? With the arrival of midsummer, the rain gradually increased. The sky was gray as if it was about to fall. Some people felt that it was difficult to breathe, while others felt a trace of coolness. In the morning court in Honyuan Palace, all the officials were in their positions. Li Longji arrived late. As soon as he sat down, he could not wait to ask the officials. When the officials heard this, they knew that the emperor was in a good mood today and had something good to say. Therefore, if it was not something important, there was no need to talk about it. When they were done, they could just write a memorial and submit it to the emperor. Li Longji sat there with the same intention. When he wanted to speak, the others should not speak first. However, among the officials who usually had a tacit understanding with each other, one person stood up today. Your Majesty, I heard that at the beginning of last month, Jili province sent out fast horses and flying cavalry to send news everywhere. Rich merchants from Jingji Province, Guanyi Province, Hudong Province, Duji Province, Hunan Province, Shannan East Province, Jiangnan East Province, and other places were all sent to Jili Province. Do any other officials know about this? The one who stood up was Zhang Shua. His expression was not very good. After saying this, he stood there without moving. His eyes looked back and forth between the officials in the row opposite him. Li Longji was stunned. He had never heard of this matter. Recently, he often went to the Ministry of Works and spent a lot of time with Zhang Zhong. Occasionally, he would come back covered in dust. The main reason was that he had participated in a very big project. He thought that he had played a key role in it. Today he succeeded and wanted to show off. He never thought that Zhang Shua would not give him the chance. He had to stand up and talk about this matter. When he said it was about Jili province, what did Zhang Shua mean? The other officials also had their own thoughts. How could they not know that Jili province had summoned a few hundred people to the prefectures and counties? However, Zhang Shua brought it up to talk about this matter. Could it be that he felt that his life was too comfortable and wanted to find trouble? Who did not know that the emperor did not allow others to find trouble with Jili province? Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were so busy that their feet hit the back of their heads. How could they have the time and energy to deal with the impeachment in the capital and defend themselves? Half a month ago, there was a flood in the west of Jiangnan. The news only came the day before yesterday. As soon as the news from the west of Jiangnan arrived, a pigeon flew over from Jili. It said that the disaster relief supplies around the west of Jiangnan had been allocated and were on their way to the west of Jiangnan. Even an idiot would understand that this was the reaction speed of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. There were pigeon stations all over the country. Before the horses set out, the pigeons would go first. At that time, when they heard the two kinds of news coming one after another, they were relieved. The emperor was also relieved. However, before they could be happy, Zhang Shua jumped out again. What did he want to do? Li Longji also had the same thought. Xiaobao and Cuckoo were so busy. They had to manage the development of the north of Hebei province, especially the resource extraction of the Blackwater Commandery. They also had to plot against Xinlua and completely destroy their economy. In the future, they would completely rely on the Tang Empire. They also had to coordinate their own family's trading funds and the system of the Tang Empire's bank. In addition, they had to mobilize goods in the name of the imperial court for disaster relief in the west of Jiangnan. Looking at Zhang Shua's expression, he was definitely not praising Xiaobao and Cuckoo. Thinking of this, Li Longji's face was as gloomy as the sky. He turned his head to look at Gao Lisher, who was standing next to him. He wanted to know what Xiaobao and Cuckoo were doing. Why did they mobilize so many businessmen from prefectures and counties to Jili province? Gao Lisher really knew. He thought it was a small matter. Looking for businessmen to go to Jili province had nothing to do with the administration, so he did not take the time to tell the emperor. Seeing the emperor looking at him, he took 2 steps forward and said, "Your Majesty, Xiaobao mentioned this in his letter. Jili province is not short of population and resources, but there are too few people traveling there. There is a bottleneck in development. Therefore, he wants to find more rich people to experience the scenery there so as to further stimulate the local economy. The reason for looking for businessmen is to discuss the application and distribution of new technologies. Some of the technologies that were first used in the military can be used for people's livelihood, such as the processing technology of the first-generation lathe. In terms of acid and alkali washing, a large amount of cheap washing powder and soap can be made. Now that the breeding technology of the Tang Empire is gradually improving, there is more oil left for businessmen to collect and process. There is also a fire starter, which is the match that Your Majesty saw. It is more convenient than a fire sickle. Therefore, he wants to find businessmen who are closer to Jili province and have a smooth journey. It is killing two birds with one stone. Oh! Li Longji suddenly understood. I see. In that case, Xiao Bao and Cuckoo can still find time to do other things. I think the two of them should be the Prime Minister. Li Longji whispered to Gao Lishur. Then he turned his face to look at Zhang Shua, who had been standing below for a while, and asked, I already know what Minister Zhang said. Does Minister Zhang have anything else to say? Zhang Shua knew that the emperor was going to be biased again, but he had to bite the bullet and say it. Otherwise, what was the use of being the head of the secretariat? The military affairs were originally arranged by him. In the end, it was Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, the compulsory soldier, who took the credit. The relationship with the neighboring countries should also be decided by the head of the secretariat. However, the two of them intervened and settled it. In terms of the economy, he could not control the Tang Empire's bank. In terms of farming, he did not know how to breed and crossbreed. The arsenal factory was still controlled by Zhang Shua and Wang Wan. He could not even interfere in the construction of the bridges and roads and transportation. The most annoying thing was the arrangement of the official positions. Why did Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan have the right to arrange a position for anyone? Did they think that the Ministry of Personnel did not exist? Was the head of the secretariat just for show? Your Majesty, I think that the actions of Governor Zhang of Jili Prefecture are inappropriate. First, it is a waste of manpower and money. He transferred a few merchants to Jili Prefecture. The journey is not short and the expenses are enormous. If the money is used for civil purposes, the people of each Dao can prosper. Second, our dynasty's technology is ahead of the neighboring countries. However, if it is placed in the hands of merchants, it is feared that spies will get it. Third, with the position of the governor of a prefecture, he can transfer merchants from all over the country with one word. Please reconsider. Zhang Shua listed the three matters. If he did not know that the emperor did not allow anyone to impeach Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan in front of the imperial court, he really wanted to put the charges on them. Li Longji listened to Zhang Shua's words and did not directly express any opinions. Instead, he looked at the other officials and asked, Does everyone have anything to say? Your Majesty, I have something to say. I think that Zhang Zhongshu's words are not a cause for concern. If it is using power for private purposes, I accuse Zhang Zhongshu of using power for private purposes. He wantonly promoted officials who are on good terms with him. He has been constantly exchanging private letters and gatherings. He has formed his own faction with the imperial court. I hope Your Majesty can investigate this. Chapter 850. The sudden impeachment of Zhang Shua caused all the officials to turn their gazes in that direction. Those who were far away recognized that it was Vice Minister Li Yuanhong. He was a man of few words and was always practical. It was unknown why he had suddenly appeared today to impeach Zhang Shua. Zhang Shua was also puzzled. He was the one who found fault with Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, so why did Li Yuanhong appear? Could it be that those two people were related to you? Wasn't this just worrying about trivial matters? While he was puzzled, he was even more angry. Li Yuanhong, I didn't find trouble with you, but now you're targeting me? Do you think I'm easy to bully? Just as he was about to question him, Li Longji spoke. We have heard of the matter that Minister Li spoke of. Li Longji paused. The hearts of all the officials trembled. Could it be that the emperor was going to act against Zhang Shua? Yes. Li Longji said another word. Zhang Shua breathed a sigh of relief. Minister Zhang is the head of the secretariat, leading hundreds of officials. Naturally, you need to interact with them. There isn't enough time in the imperial court, so it's fine to speak in private. Does Minister Zhang think so? Li Longji narrowed his eyes at Zhang Shua. There was an indifferent expression on his face, making it impossible to tell if he was speaking the truth. As if he had grasped onto a life-saving straw, Zhang Shua nodded fiercely. His beard fluttered with his movements, slightly tinged with frost. Together with the weather, it gave off a desolate air. Standing across from him, Yuan Chenyao sighed softly. He was old, he was all old. Time waited for no man. Unlike Zhang Xiaobao and Cuckoo, he could decide the matters of the imperial court at such a young age and had plenty of youth to squander. That's right, Li Longji said casually. Then he continued, we know that many officials don't have any ulterior motives. It's just that it's easy for them to be misunderstood. Minister Zhang is one such example. I hope that the officials can trust their colleagues by their side more. Don't jump to conclusions based on hearsay. And don't assume that someone has bad intentions based on a groundless matter. Judge others by your own standards. According to Xiaobei's words, our great Tang's imperial court is united. Does everyone agree with our words? Your Majesty, after hearing Your Majesty's words, I feel Your Majesty's tolerance and trust. I will not let Your Majesty down. Yu Wenrong stepped out and said something. The other officials who were standing in front of him all followed suit. Zhang Shua was naturally no exception. After he finished flattering the emperor, he understood that his efforts today were in vain. The emperor's meaning was very clear. He shouldn't casually find a groundless accusation and pin it on others. Others impeached him, but the emperor didn't find trouble with him. Then, if he were to mention the matter of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, wouldn't he be playing with fire? Sigh. Why should the two of them receive such treatment? Zhang Shua was unconvinced. His face looked even older. He quietly retreated to his seat and decided to endure. The emperor and his officials praised each other for a while before returning to the peaceful scene at the beginning. The wind was still blowing and the sky had not cleared up. When the morning court ended, there would probably be a heavy downpour. Did the emperor prepare an umbrella? There was still some distance from the Hanyuan Palace Hall to the office. He regretted not bringing the portable foldable umbrella that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan gave him. He would definitely learn his lesson next time. After Li Longji settled Zhang Shua, he adjusted his mood and finally returned to his original state. He smiled and said to the officials, since you all don't have anything important to say, Zhen will talk about recent matters. This is something that Zhen suddenly thought of. What a coincidence. Come, bring Zhen's things up. The officials below did not think that it was something that Zhen suddenly thought of. Otherwise, he wouldn't have stopped them from speaking. Zhang Shua deserved it. The things that were prepared in advance naturally did not take much time. As Li Longji's voice fell, Gao Lisher waved his hand. A few eunuchs beside him moved the things in front of Li Longji. The officials stretched their necks, wanting to see what the emperor was doing. Li Longji coughed lightly and walked down from the soft chair, which was a rare sight. He stood in front of the item placed on the ground and gave an even rarer smile. He took the item from Gao Lisher, who had squatted down to pick it up. He waved it in front of the officials and asked, "Does everyone know what this is?" The officials looked and recognized it. It was a light bulb. It was nothing special. Their own houses had it. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan gave it to them. Any official with a high enough rank would be able to receive benefits from Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan for free. There were many low-ranking officials who would work hard for such benefits. The rich and powerful also bought it for use at home. Those who had a windmill would use it. Those who did not have a windmill would find a way to use a water wheel. Those who did not have both would take turns to use the generator. Why did the emperor take it out today? Li Linfu had a good eye. He stood up and showed an uncertain expression. He asked softly, "Your Majesty, could this be the legendary light bulb?" Your Majesty is taking this small and exquisite thing. Did Your Majesty make it yourself? Yes, it is a light bulb. Not bad. Minister Li's eyesight is indeed good. You can see it with your eyes. Li Longji admired Li Linfu's attitude. He praised him and then shook his head. It was not made by me. I was afraid of hurting you. I do not have the ability to blow out light bulbs, much less draw air. Your Majesty's health is important, Li Linfu added. Li Longji did not reply this time. He held the small light bulb in one hand and pointed at another item on the ground. He asked, "Do you know what this is?" Could it be the legendary fish tank? Li Linfu saw a box made of glass. It was not much different from a fish tank. The only difference was that there were no fish in the water. Instead, it was connected to wires. No, guess again. Li Longji was like a child at this moment. Your Majesty, please enlighten me. I really can't guess. I only know now that I am not as knowledgeable as Your Majesty. Li Linfu asked in distress. This time he was not talking nonsense. He really did not know. The other officials who were closer also saw the fish tank. They were also puzzled. Li Longji looked down and waved his hand. Come forward. I will show you. The fifth-rank official who was the furthest looked at the people around him. When he saw someone move, he also moved forward. When he got closer, it was really like what Li Linfu said. It was a fish tank. There was no fish in it. When others were puzzled, Li Longji continued to the next step. He picked up 2 wires in the fish tank. One was wrapped around the bottom of the light bulb, and the other was placed on the smallest point. When the 2 wires were connected, the light bulb suddenly lit up. Your Majesty, why did it light up? Gao Lisher cooperated and exclaimed. His eyes were wide open, making people worry that his eyeballs would fall out at any time. Li Longji had an unfathomable expression on his face. He moved back and forth so that everyone could see clearly. After the officials were puzzled, he slowly said, "Don't you think it is very magical? There is no wind power, no water power, and no one is stepping on the generator." Your Majesty, why did it light up? Zhang Jiuling walked forward and looked carefully. He still could not figure out the trick, so he asked humbly. This is a good question. Why did it light up? I believe that everyone has the same question in their hearts. This is the wet battery that I participated in the development of. With the battery, you will not have to work as hard as before. You can use the battery to light up the lamp anytime and anywhere. Li Longji pulled the wires away from the light bulb and pressed them back on. He repeated it a few times so that people could see clearly and happily introduced it. Your Majesty is indeed amazing. A fifth-rank official praised sincerely. Li Longji smiled and shook his head. Don't think that this is my original intention. If it can only light up the lamp, then it is nothing much. Look at the other thing. Putting down the light bulb, Li Longji pointed to the other thing in front of him. To be precise, there were 2 identical things in front of him. There was also a bundle of wires. This time, there was no need for others to cooperate with him. Li Longji took the initiative to introduce it. This is a cable telegraph machine. Someone will ask what this thing is for. Is it not? Some of the officials cursed in their hearts. Isn't this nonsense? Aren't you taking it out for others to see? Who wouldn't have such thoughts when they don't know? I will let you all know now. Men, carry the other one further away. Li Longji couldn't hear the thoughts of others, so he didn't have any evidence to convict them. With a command, a eunuch immediately came over and carried one of the 2 down the stairs. Only when the bundle of wires was used up did he stop and wait for further instructions. Another eunuch carried a fish tank over and stood to the side, looking at Li Longji. Li Longji looked around, and Gao Lisher hurriedly gestured to a nearby group of people. They were all wearing the same type of work uniform, and all of them were walking with their heads held high. However, if one looked carefully, they would notice that some of them were injured. When this group of people came closer, Li Longji waved his hand. One of them ran to the front, while another ran further away. Each of them took out a small notebook and a pencil. Li Longji looked at the doubtful gazes of his subjects and explained, "The function of the telegraph machine is to send messages quickly. As soon as there is a movement, we will receive it immediately. The telegraph machine can communicate with each other over a certain distance depending on the length of the wire." The officials nodded to show that they understood. Even if they were doubtful, they didn't dare to show it. "I know you all don't believe me, but that's fine. I will let you all understand. Minister Zhang, you say a few words and let this person pass the message. See if the other telegraph machine opposite can receive it. At such a distance you can whisper a few words. They won't be able to hear you, right?" Li Longji called out Zhang Shua and asked him to speak. Zhang Shua nodded. "Yes, I couldn't hear you. That place is more than 20 zhang away from here. Your Majesty asked me to say it, and I really did. Yes, I said that it would rain today." "Send the report," Li Longji instructed the person who had just arrived. This person quickly took out a thicker book from his pocket and searched for something in it. Then he used a pencil to write and draw on the book just now. Finally, he used his hand to press on a spot on the telegraph machine. Another person helped to connect the wires in the fish tank. The same thing happened on the other side. When everything was ready, the man began to press on that place. Beep. Beep. A crisp sound rang out, and before long, the person raised his hand, indicating that he was done. The officials immediately turned their gazes back to the person below. They saw that the person had just finished writing in the book, then flipped open another thick book and began searching. A moment later, a person ran over from that direction and reported to Li Longji, "Your Majesty, the information has been received. The content is that it will rain today." Many of the officials were puzzled. They felt that it was very strange. How could the other side know what the message was after a few beeps? This was much more useful than the beacon tower. "Where else do you want to try?" The smile on Li Longji's face grew wider. "Your Majesty, I'm here." Elvienzhua, who did not believe in heresy, stood up and whispered to the person who sent the report, "I don't believe it's true. Send it." The person nodded and flipped through the book a few more times. After he finished writing and drawing, he began to press the button on the telegraph machine. Along with the beeping sound, the other side began to receive the message. After a very short time, a person ran over and said to the crowd, "Received. The content is that I don't believe it's true." Vienzhua was stunned. He raised his head and looked into the distance. After swallowing his saliva, he said to the emperor, "Your Majesty, this is amazing. If this thing is connected to all parts of the country, the speed at which it can send messages back and forth in the future is really unimaginable." Li Longji smiled and nodded. At this time, Zhang Shua began to pour cold water on the emperor again. "Your Majesty, I don't think it's appropriate. How long would it take to connect the wires to all parts of the country? How many wires would it consume? This thing is of little value." Li Longji's happy mood changed again after Zhang Shua's words. He glared at Zhang Shua, meaning to say, "Why did you mention this?" Fortunately, he was already prepared. When he saw that some of the officials had the same thoughts, he coughed and said, "It's just an experiment. This is called a wired telegraph. Now, the Ministry of Works is researching on dry batteries and wireless telegraphy. When the research is completed, batteries will be more convenient to carry around and the telegraph machine will no longer need wires to connect. This won't be of little value, right?" "Your Majesty is wise." Gao Lisher chimed in. The expressions of the officials also changed. They naturally knew that if there was a portable battery and a telegraph machine that did not need wires to connect, how fast would the transmission of messages in the future be? However, this news came too suddenly. It was so sudden that they were not prepared at all. Yuan Qianyao said excitedly, "Your Majesty, when did the Tang Empire have such an advanced thing? According to what Your Majesty said, wouldn't it only take a blink of an eye to send a message from the farthest place to the capital?" "That might not be the case. I heard from Xiao Bao and Cuckoo that it would require a few transfers. Otherwise, the distance would not be enough. They could arrange for a special frequency band for the transfer of telegraphy. Advanced. Yes, it's considered advanced. At least, it's ahead of the neighboring countries. Without the hundreds of thousands of craftsmen in the Tang Empire, there wouldn't be today's advanced technology. They have sacrificed a lot. As Li Longji spoke, the happy expression on his face disappeared. He looked at the group of craftsmen standing a few steps away and introduced them to the officials. These are the researchers of the battery and the telegraph, Lu Liang. Your Majesty. As Li Longji called out the name, a person stood out. This person was still wrapped in a white cloth. The officials knew that he was injured. This was the classic packaging cloth used by Dei Hospital. Li Longji looked at Lu Liang with a gentle gaze. Lu Liang was very excited. He kept swallowing his saliva and his legs were trembling. Roll up the sleeve of your right arm. Li Longji ordered. Lu Liang didn't dare to hesitate. He used his left hand to slowly roll up the right sleeve, revealing his arm. When the officials saw this, they all gasped at the same time. The arm was full of holes and the skin was already wrinkled. The arm was small and thin, as if it had been burned by fire. Lu Liang's arm was burned by sulfuric acid during his research. However, he still determined the ratio of sulfuric acid. Without his persistence, there wouldn't be the current wet battery. I confer upon him the title of founding count. Zhao Chen stepped forward. Li Longji introduced Lu Liang and shouted to the crowd. A one-eyed man stood out. Your Majesty. This is Zhao Chen. He has been in charge of the production of the telegraph machine. During the welding process, one of his eyes was blinded. However, he still completed the initial task of welding the telegraph machine with one eye. I confer upon him the title of founding Marquis. Zhao Gong stepped forward. Zhao Gong is Zhao Chen's younger brother. He did experiments with his older brother. Originally, Zhao Gong was a high scholar. However, he gave up the opportunity to take the imperial examination and was willing to take over the heavy responsibility of his older brother. Li Longji called out the people one by one. Every time one of them was called out, he would tell them what they had done and reward them. There were a total of 32 people. When Li Longji introduced them, all of them puffed out their chests. Their eyes were filled with excitement. The officials also listened carefully. If it was in the past, there would have been people who would have stood out to oppose the emperor's rewards. However, today was an exception. They knew that the emperor's rewards were for the hundreds of thousands of craftsmen. The fact that the craftsmen, whom they had never paid much attention to in the past, were able to create such amazing things made them feel emotional. Li Longji squatted down and touched the telegraph machine. He said, I hope that all of you will know that the Tang Empire's craftsmen are not lowly. You will understand that while you are enjoying good things, there are people who are bleeding and sacrificing for them. Every item is filled with the blood and sweat of the Tang Empire's craftsmen. You must cherish them. I will remember. Gao Lisher was the first to speak. The other officials followed suit. Yes, please go back. The craftsmen are omnipotent. Remember to keep it a secret. Li Longji showed the officials the power of the craftsmen. When the morning court session resumed, the first thing he proposed was to allocate a large amount of money to the Ministry of Works. All the officials now understood that the emperor was doing this to clear the way for Zhang Zhong. If there was no telegraph machine, there would be people who would object to giving a large amount of money to the Ministry of Works for no reason. Now that they thought about the advanced tool that could send messages over long distances, there was no one who would not support it. It was too scary. They imagined that thousands of miles away, a person could tap on the telegraph machine, and the message would be sent to the capital immediately. After the same discussion, the message would be sent back. It was much faster than sending an urgent report from 800 miles away. Even a pigeon could not compare to it. In the face of disasters and war, the reaction time would be greatly reduced. It was even more amazing during war. Several armies could cooperate with each other at any time. What kind of enemy could not be defeated? While the others were feeling satisfied, Li Longji's mind was wandering to Jili province. When will Xiao Bao and Cuckoo be able to create a weapon that can fight from Luzhou to the capital and intercept it? Beep, 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 beep. In a house on the north bank of the Mud River, Wang Wan was tapping on something. The sound of beeping could be heard from time to time. Zhang Xiaobao sat aside and looked at the map in his hand. He was lost in thought. After a while he recovered and asked, "Is it done? When it's done, help me send a telegram. Just say, 'Thank you for your hard work today.' Is the road repaired? If it is, don't be anxious. Be steady and tell the others that we can proceed to the next step. When the next step is carried out, it will be the moment of our victory. As for this, Comrade Zhang Xiaobao, this is sending a telegram, not making a phone call. Jian Jie, do you understand?" Wang Wan was about to translate it into code when she heard Zhang Xiaobao talking a lot of nonsense. She stopped what she was doing and complained with dissatisfaction. "Oh, you just thought of it. Make a call. Lu Qing will do it." Zhang Xiaobao nodded and reduced the pile of words just now into 5 words. "Isn't it done?" Do you think Li Longji will find out that the thing we used is more advanced than what he saw? And then scold him? Wang Wan had some basic knowledge of telegrams. She quickly sent the message. If Li Longji saw the telegram she used, he would definitely scold them for keeping it to themselves. There was no fish tank beside the telegram. Instead, it was a block-like thing that provided power to the telegram. At the same time, the telegram didn't have any wires connected to other places. It only had an antenna that extended out. This was the dry battery and wireless telegram he was looking forward to making in the future. He didn't expect that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had already used it. Zhang Xiaobao said uncertainly, "I don't think so. Can't he scold him or can't he find out?" Wang Wan asked again. "As long as he can't find out, he won't scold us," Zhang Xiaobao answered. "In other words, you're pinning the consequences on the former." "That's right. If he really finds out about this, he'll probably make things difficult for us. This is something that's very different from telegrams. It's a product that transcends time and uses electromagnetic technology. In the future, we can make a radio station and use a thin box to receive the signal. This is the people's radio station. What we're broadcasting right now is whether the great Tang Emperor Li Longji will be angry if he finds out about this technology and he wasn't the first to see it. Dear listeners, you can write a letter and send it to. Alright, stop joking around. You still want to be angry. Based on his personality in the past, you should be beheaded for this crime. You should find 10,000 people to watch and then eat a steamed bun dipped in blood to treat tuberculosis. Can't we use Remy's seal to treat tuberculosis? Those people in the medical school are too lame. They haven't developed it yet. It's the same for antibiotics. At the very least, they should have developed penicillin first so that it can be used to treat diseases. At this rate, when will they be able to perform heart bypass surgery? Zhang Xiaobao began to complain about the medical school's research speed. Wang Wan said disapprovingly, "You think it's a game where you can be as fast as you want? That's a problem with the system. Heart bypass surgery. Why don't you talk about changing the DNA? That way, humans won't have to worry about breathing. They can absorb the Reiki between heaven and earth and fly freely in the universe." That's fine. This is a new topic in the medical school. It's best to first demonstrate it from the 5 elements and the balance of yin and yang in Chinese medicine. Sai, we have to go back. We'll be assassinated tomorrow. Zhang Xiaobao followed Wang Wan's words for a while and then remembered the serious matter. Tomorrow. Isn't it earlier tomorrow? Let's wait until the rivers start to connect. Otherwise, it's easy to cause problems. Wang Wan thought for a while and gave her opinion. "I'll listen to you. It's late. Madam, why don't we go to sleep?" Zhang Xiaobao said with a yearning look. "If you dare to touch me while I'm asleep again, I'll chop off your perverted pig hand. You're the one who put it on me. Then I'll chop it off too." After receiving the young master and young lady's orders, the construction workers worked much faster. They didn't stop at night. They lit torches and continued to instruct the people of Shinlua to work hard to build the road. During this period of time, the road on the side of Shinlua was about to be paved. The place where the tariffs were collected was also built. Anyone who paid the tariffs would be let through when they passed through this road. Those who didn't pay would be blocked on the other side. The merchants of Shinlua were looking forward to the benefits they would receive after the arrival of the tariffs. The members of the royal family of Shinlua were also looking forward to using the money to build the place. Another 2 days passed. The last section of the road was being watered. When it was dry, the moisturizing grass mats on it were taken away. The road could be extended to the farthest place. Another day, Li Dong listened to the sound of firecrackers and stood happily at the place where the tariffs were collected. He waited for the Tang Empire's caravan to take the initiative to send the money. The people sent to the Tang Empire sent back information that there was already a large caravan coming. And Li said that they would arrive last night, but they didn't expect that they still hadn't arrived. While waiting anxiously, the sun reached the middle of the sky. Just when Li Dong and the other merchants of Shinlua thought that the Tang Empire's caravan would not come today, a large amount of dust was blown up by the wind on the distant path. They're here, they're here. Get ready. When you check the goods later, you have to be serious. You can't charge more or less. 20% of the tariff. Remember. Li Dong saw the approaching caravan and hurriedly instructed the person in charge of collecting the Tang Empire's tariffs. The group of people answered in unison. Their eyes were fixed on the caravan, and their minds were filled with the sound of money. The more anxious they were, the slower time passed. Just when Li Dong and the others couldn't wait any longer, the caravan finally slowly arrived at the customs. They looked at the people in front of them blankly, as if they didn't know the situation. Li Dong, the main leader, knew that it was time for him to go on stage. He took 2 steps forward and asked the caravan, "Where is your boss?" According to the agreement between Shinlua and the Tang Empire, when you sell goods in Shinlua, you have to pay 20% of the tariff, which is 20%. You can pass after paying the money. When did this happen? 20%. That's too much. A while after Li Dong finished speaking, a person stood out from the caravan and asked in confusion, "Not long ago, it was proposed by that Zhang Xiaobao from your Tang Empire. 20% isn't much. Don't you know how much your goods can be sold for in Shinlua? If you can't pay, you can use 20% of the goods as a substitute." As Li Dong said this, he had other thoughts in mind. He didn't need to treat the merchants who came with a good attitude. As long as they had any questions, they would immediately push the blame to Zhang Xiaobao, causing the conflict between Zhang Xiaobao and the other merchants to worsen. The people in the caravan clearly felt that it was too much. That person asked again, "What if you don't pay? If you don't pay, you can't go over here." Li Dong was not anxious at all. "Then it's not too much. Let's go back." The leader of the caravan was even more straightforward. With a wave of his hand, the caravan turned around and left at a speed many times faster than when they came. Li Dong looked at the caravan that was gradually disappearing from his sight. He wanted to stop them, but he realized that they were on the land of the Tang Empire. He was not qualified to do so. After the last wisp of smoke disappeared, Li Dong gritted his teeth and said gloomily, "This group of merchants from the Tang Empire is treacherous, stingy. Watch them carefully in case they sneak over under the cover of the night." The equally disappointed Shinlua people were also furious. They agreed to Li Dong's words and swore to guard this place well. They would not give the merchants of the Tang Empire any chance. This wait lasted until nightfall. The moon hung high in the sky, and the stars around it dimmed due to the lack of one side of the moon. Li Dong, who still insisted on not sleeping, kept dozing off. He drank cup after cup of tea, but it didn't seem to have any effect. His eyelids kept closing. Just as he was about to fall asleep, a person rushed in from outside and reported anxiously, "Boss Li, bad news. The Tang Empire's caravan has bypassed us and entered Xinlua from another place. What? They went in. Why didn't they stop them? What Li Dong was worried about had finally happened. The merchants did not care about the system. If they could pay less, they would definitely not pay more. We did, but the place is too big, and we don't have enough manpower. The Tang Empire's caravan is divided into countless small teams, coming to Xinlua from all directions. Those who were stopped by us said that they had taken the wrong path in the dark and turned around to go back. We sent out more than 100 people to stop 30 small teams, but looking at the scale, there should be 70% of the Tang Empire's caravan that was not stopped. That means that 70% of the goods entered Xinlua. The person who came had a dejected look on his face. He seemed to be complaining about the Tang Empire and also seemed to be complaining about the lack of manpower on his side. Hearing the words of the person who came, Li Dong's brows furrowed deeply, forming the character Chuan above his nose. He looked at the people waiting there and asked, "Brothers, do you have any good ideas?" "Yes, one is to send more people. If we want to completely block the land route, we need at least 5,000 people who are familiar with this place," the person replied. Li Dong looked at a place and did not move. After a while he said, "All right, then we'll discuss with others tomorrow. Send 5,000 people out to stop the Tang Empire's caravan. We can't let them pass so easily. Otherwise, who will pay?" The person agreed and left in a hurry. The next day it was noon again. The weather was so hot that it made people feel stuffy. Fortunately, another team from the Tang Empire arrived at the place and also asked about the tax. Like the previous team, they turned around and left. The 5,000 people that Xinlua had found with great difficulty were divided into different places according to the distance. They waited for the Tang Empire's people to secretly come over at night so that they could block them. But this time, they did not wait for the sky to completely turn dark. Just as the sun set, someone ran over to look for Li Dong. "Boss Li, it's not good. The merchants of the Tang Empire have crossed the narrow mud river. They actually brought a rubber raft. They must have been prepared. Boss Li, quickly think of a way." Li Dong was completely dumbfounded. He could still send 5,000 people to block the land route, but if the water route was also included, then not to mention 5,000 people, even 50,000 people would not be able to block it. The place was too big. There were many places in the mud river that were relatively narrow. It was very easy to cross it. Could it be that the tariff really could not be collected? Then what was the use of this place? He had even spent 1,000,000 strings of coins. Was it all for nothing? The more he thought about it, the more uncomfortable he felt. Li Dong really had no idea this time. He went to the 3rd floor of Chongfeng Pavilion again and found the other merchants to discuss, hoping that someone could come up with a better idea. From what Boss Li means, the land route connecting Xinlua and the Tang Empire is too wide, and there are many narrow places in the two rivers. Then can we think of a way to make the river wider so that their rubber raft can't cross it easily, and then make the connecting place narrower from the road? A merchant in a partnership thought of the crux of the problem and suggested an idea. The other merchants also nodded in agreement. Then how should we make the river wider and the land route narrower? Li Dong muttered as he tried his best to think of an idea. The other merchants were also thinking about this problem. Suddenly, a merchant's eyes lit up and he said excitedly, "I thought of a good idea. That is to connect the two rivers. This way, the flow of water will increase and naturally make the river wider. Moreover, once the protruding land that was not submerged by the water is submerged, it will form a reef and it will be very easy for something to happen. Then we can find a place such as where our road connects and build a bridge there. Let the merchants from the Tang Empire pass through the bridge. This way, it will be difficult for them to take a detour. If a few boats capsize, they will lose more than just 20% of the tariff. The value of the goods transported to Xinlua is quite a lot. In addition to the human lives, I think we can solve this problem." "That's right." Another merchant slapped his thigh in agreement. Suddenly, he revealed a confused expression and said, "Why does this idea sound so familiar to me?" Li Dong's thoughts were faster and he said, "Of course it's familiar. That was the idea that Zhang Xiaobao first suggested. Wasn't it messed up by the people we hired? We even had a lot of fights with the people we hired. Zhang Xiaobao, oh Zhang Xiaobao, you're good. Understand. This is a way to connect the rivers. I'm impressed. You made us clearly know that, but we still have to do it. If we don't do it, we won't have 20% of the tariff. The higher-ups can't bear the pressure anymore. We also have a lot of money." The other merchants were not stupid. They immediately understood and looked at each other. They could see deep worry in each other's eyes. This Zhang Xiaobao had finally met him. If they did not have direct contact with him, they would not be able to understand his abilities. After going around in a big circle, the rivers that should be connected had been connected, and the bridges that should be repaired still needed to be repaired. Li Dong sighed helplessly. "Let's discuss it with Jingjing Construction Group's Zhang Tai. I'll have someone deliver the letter tomorrow. Everyone remember to be careful. Whatever Zhang Xiaobao brings up next time, we must consider it carefully. Don't be fooled again. I finally understand why Li Longji sent him here. He's a smart man." Everyone nodded in agreement. The news that Xinlua wanted to cooperate with the Tang Empire to connect the two rivers and repair the bridge quickly spread to the Tang Empire's Chang'an. During the morning court session, Li Longji was in the middle of a discussion with the officials about how more merchants would be sent overseas to explore new places in the future, and how they would be charged for bringing good goods back to the Great Tang, when Gao Lishir was sent by a young eunuch to collect a letter. After reading the letter from Gao Lishir, who left and returned in a hurry, Li Longji was stunned for a while. Then he suddenly burst out laughing. "Ha ha ha ha, Xiaobao, oh Xiaobao, you really didn't disappoint me. You went around in circles and used the same method to deal with me on Xinlua. Good, I'm very relieved. Come, let the officials take a look." The matters discussed earlier in the morning court were put on hold, and the letter was first delivered to Zhang Shua. His position was the highest, so after he finished reading the letter that did not have too many words and passed it on to the next person, Zhang Shua fell silent. He had an impulse to overturn the method he had just proposed. When they were talking about collecting the goods tax from the merchants who returned from the sea, he suggested that Lu Zhou's coastal patrol team be placed in the hands of the imperial court instead of Lu Zhou. In other words, he was taking back the power of the Zhang family and the Wang family in disguise. That was a team to make money. Whoever controlled it could get both power and money. There would definitely be many people begging to do things for them. However, after reading the contents of the letter from Jili province, he was a little afraid that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan would find out about his proposal. With Zhang Xiaobao's scheming, would the consequences be unbearable if they spent a little effort on him? The officials read the letter one by one. Each of them had a different expression after reading it. Some were nervous, some were relieved, some were confused, and some were deep in thought. When the letter was passed around and returned to Gao Lishir, the officials had different opinions about the ownership of Lu Zhou's coastal patrol team. Li Longji was still excited. He said to his officials, "Xiaobao is really reassuring. If all the local officials are as good as him, what else do I have to worry about? Unfortunately, Xiaobao and Cuckoo are only a pair. It's hard to find them. Let's wait until Xiaobei and the others are older." Where was I just now? Minister Zhang said that he wants to take back control of the coastal patrol team. What are you going to do? Li Longji sighed. Then, he remembered what happened just now. He looked at Zhang Shua and asked. Zhang smacked his lips. He looked at the row of people who were looking at him with a gloating expression and replied calmly, "Your Majesty, I've thought about it again. I still don't know enough about Lu Zhou's place. Why don't we send more people there to have a look and learn? After that, we can discuss it again so that we don't make any mistakes in our haste." "Oh, you're not in a hurry to take it back. What do the others think?" Li Longji asked deliberately. He did not want the head of the secretariat to meddle too much. That would give him too much power. Xiaobao and Cuckoo were more reassuring. "Agree." The person who spoke up for Zhang Shua earlier quickly changed his mind at this moment. With his words, the others did not want to offend Zhang Xiaobao, who had just schemed against Xan Luo. They all agreed. Chapter 851. As the only good restaurant in Xinluo close to Tang Dynasty, Chongfeng Pavilion had become the place where Li Dong and the others would discuss things. Today, a group of businessmen were still here to invite Zhang Tai, who was a builder. Steward Zhang, drink up. This is shipped from Tang Dynasty. I think Steward Zhang can still drink. Li Dong said to Zhang Tai with a brilliant smile as he filled a bowl of wine for Zhang Tai. Zhang Tai's smile was no worse than Li Dong's. He raised his bowl and clinked it with Li Dong's. Raising his head, he poured the liquor into his mouth. After drinking the liquor, Zhang Tai wiped his mouth with his hand and exhaled. He then said to Li Dong, "It's hard to refuse Boss Li's hospitality. After not seeing you for a few days, I also missed you. Originally, I planned to have a good drink with Boss Li and the others after the tariff was settled. Unexpectedly, Boss Li asked me to leave first. Steward Zhang, you're treating me as an outsider. Do you need to be so polite with me? It doesn't matter who invites you. As long as we're together, I will feel very comfortable. Do you agree with me? How about this braised pig's tail?" Li Dong chuckled as he pushed Zhang Tai's favorite pig's tail in front of him. "Great." After biting the pig's tail, Zhang Tai praised as he continued, "Steward Li's hospitality will be engraved in my mind. When the restaurant in Tang Dynasty is built, I will definitely invite you to taste it. Young master wants to build Blue Sea Silver Sand and Between the Clouds and the Water. At that time, the two restaurants will still face each other, compete with each other, and progress together. That will be different from each other. Oh, and the newly made furniture will also be displayed. If you see a set that you like, I will make a promise and sell it to you with a capital." The businessmen of Xinluo didn't take it seriously. Words at the table could not be trusted. They exchanged glances with each other as they didn't know who should mention the matter of Tongha and the bridge. Finally, Li Dong took over the load and filled Zhang Tai's cup. Looking at the river outside, he said to Zhang Tai, "This river is really nice. The fish in it is also delicious. I suddenly remember that although the fish in the mud river is good, the fish in the river is also not bad. Have you tasted it before?" Of course. Each has its own flavor, just like Between the Clouds and the Water and Blue Sea Silver Sand. Why? Does Boss Li want to eat the fish in the water? I'll have someone catch a basket of them and send them here. They'll definitely be fresh. Zhang Tai nodded. Li Dong nodded as well, but then he shook his head and said, "It's still difficult. If we can connect the two rivers together, then wouldn't we be able to taste both? I remember that back then, the young master of the Zhang family had such a plan. Unfortunately, some unreasonable commoners ruined it. Steward Zhang, why don't we do this? This time I will definitely control the people and not let them cause trouble. You can continue to follow the original idea and connect the two rivers. At the same time, choose a place to build a bridge to facilitate water transportation. Last time we were in a hurry and didn't have time to control it. It's really a pity." After hearing Li Dong's words, the other businessmen of Xinluo fixed their eyes on Zhang Tai, hoping to get a definite answer from him. After hearing Li Dong's proposal, Zhang Tai suddenly revealed an embarrassed look. After letting out a sigh, he said helplessly, "No, you don't know my young master. When he thinks of something, he will do it. After a while, he will forget about it. If not for the person who was arranged to do it, he could not do anything at all. It's the same for connecting the two rivers and building a bridge. If we ask the young master now, he will definitely lose his previous enthusiasm. Actually, it doesn't matter if we don't build it. The ships of Tang Dynasty can take a detour. Perhaps we can change our mind and go to Japan. Don't mention it again. I dare not tell the young master about it. Otherwise, the young master will remember that his idea was ruined. He will be unhappy and vent his anger on me. It's not worth it. Come on, let's drink." "Manager Zhang, how could that be? How about this? Manager Zhang, Let us meet the young master of the Zhang family and make it clear to him face to face. I think the young master will agree. Li Dong drank another bowl of wine as he still didn't want to give up this hope. Wei shook her head. After thinking for a while, she looked at Li Dong and said, "Actually, if you want to connect the two rivers, you can also build a bridge. However, you can't ask the young master for help. You only need to contact Jingjing Construction. Jingjing Construction is willing to accept the job and give you a discount on the fee. If it weren't for the fact that many people in the group depend on this job to make a living, I wouldn't have earned a single cent. But I can guarantee that if Mr. Li pays, I will only earn a little. I hope that there will be more jobs in the future. Mr. Li, please think more about our Jingjing Construction. We pay for it. But back then, it was your family's little young master who paid for it, and he paid quite a bit. Many of the commoners have been spoiled. For example, during the construction of the roads, if it wasn't for the fact that your family's little young master paid an exorbitant price at the beginning, they wouldn't have paid so much for the construction of the roads. They can eat for 5 days if they work for 1 day. What's more, they use the goods from Tang Dynasty. You have also made a lot of money, right? If you still want us to pay for the bridge, we really can't afford it. Why don't we discuss it again? I'll ask the people who build the bridge to ask for less money and make it clear to them. Li Dong had already felt that it was shameful for him to agree to it now. In order to receive enough tariffs, he had accepted his fate. However, he had not expected that he would have to pay for it. It was not just a matter of shameful or not. That kind of burden was too great. Zhang Tai nodded. I know. It's too expensive. Therefore, you'd better not build the bridge. If you really want to meet the young master, you can. However, you can't meet the young master with Li Dong. Our young master is an official of Tang Dynasty, a provincial governor. If any businessman could meet him, wouldn't it be too troublesome? You can find a member of the imperial clan of Xinlua. You must have a high status. You can accompany him. Well, I'll try my best to find someone from the imperial clan. However, I might not succeed. Please put in a good word for us in front of the young master. Someone bring the things for Steward Zhang. Li Dong had no other choice. He shouted towards the outside. After a short while, someone came in with a tray and gently put it on the table. Li Dong lifted the silk cloth and revealed the things that he wanted to give to Zhang Tai. Zhang Tai glanced at them and then looked at Li Dong. Under Li Dong's expectation, Wei Wei smiled and said, "What a great gift! I've not imagined that Steward Li could find 6 pearls as big as pigeon eggs. If you sell them, you might not be able to get them for less than 10,000 coins. I'll take them." "You're joking, Steward Zhang. Who doesn't know that Zhang family and Wang family are rich? 6 pearls are too little. After we succeed, we will reward you more," Li Dong said with a smile. "I can't guarantee whether we succeed or not. I'll try my best. Lass, I'm dizzy. I'm really sorry." Zhang Tai couldn't do it at all. He grabbed the 6 pearls and put them into his arms casually as if they were 6 stones. Then, he covered his forehead with his other hand and slightly swayed. "Someone help Steward Zhang to take a rest." Li Dong was very sensible and immediately asked someone to help Zhang Tai away. Waiting until the sound of footsteps could no longer be heard, Li Dong, who had escorted them to the door, turned around and looked at the people who had also stood up. With a pained expression, he said, "This is going to be troublesome. With Zhang Xiaobao's ruthless personality, who knows what will happen this time?" "Steward Li, Zhang Tai has accepted the pearls. Can't he help us?" someone asked. "Didn't you hear what he said? 10,000 strings of pearls. He means that it's too little. I don't know how much money Zhang family and Wang family can get. Send someone to inquire about it. Next time we'll give something else." Li Dong felt a bitter taste in his mouth. He also wanted to give more money. However, how much could he give? After all, he couldn't give 1 million strings of pearls as a gift. So, he might as well spend money to get through the river. After returning to a room, Zhang Tai took out the 6 pearls. Suddenly, he thought of Xiaobei and the others. Frowning, he muttered. He really doesn't know how to give gifts. He only gave 6 pearls. If there were 9 pearls, he could give 1 each to Xiaobei and Xiaobei. Should I make 1 gift and send it over? That's worrying. When the merchants of Xinlua were waiting, they didn't receive any news about getting through the river and building the bridge. When they looked for Zhang Tai, they were told that Zhang Tai was busy building the road from Jili province and was not available for the time being. Goods from Tang dynasty were smuggled into Xinlua in batches. With the same price and better quality, Xinlua's people in the same industry were greatly shocked. The members of the imperial clan of Xinlua were anxious. Originally, they planned to offset this part of the money with tariffs. However, they couldn't collect the tariffs. Xinlua's people couldn't sell their goods. As a result, they kept lowering their prices. They almost couldn't make ends meet. The imperial clan of Xinlua and the merchants finally saw the threat of trade dumping. The cheap grains from Tang dynasty made the local farmers unwilling to cultivate. They would only plant enough for themselves to eat. After that, they would think of ways to make money so that they could buy other goods at a cheaper price. More and more people lost their jobs. When those who worked in the handicraft industry and odd jobs looked for jobs, they found that there were more and more people in the same industry. The competition was especially fierce. The employer kept lowering the price. If the price of the goods was low, they would lose money. If the price was high, they couldn't sell it. The Xinlua people who felt the man-made economic crisis for the first time were completely dumbfounded. They didn't know how to deal with it. In the end, they could only attribute it to tariffs. The imperial clan found Li Dong and the others once again and put a lot of pressure on them. Li Dong's hair almost turned white. He figured out why things had developed to this stage. How could a seemingly simple trade turn out to be so serious? Zhang Xiaobao, the existence outside the top ranking list. Is he really that powerful? How does he work? What is the theoretical basis that the Tang people often talk about? Is tariffs really just a matter of tariffs? If you want tariffs, you have to control smuggling, build bridges, and force people to their deaths. At night, Li Dong stayed alone in the small dark room, thinking hard. He wanted to find a key point in Zhang Xiaobao's series of actions, but no matter what, he had to find a way to enter the door. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were happy when they received the news. Wang Wan looked to the south and felt sorry for Xinlua. If they hadn't cooperated with the Japanese and the Turks to make trouble for Zhang Xiaobao, how could they be in this situation today? Xinlua is finished. If we just attribute the problem to tariffs, even if we receive tariffs, we still won't be able to withstand Xiaobao's next move. Even big countries are very cautious in this regard, let alone small countries. Wang Wan muttered softly and looked at Zhang Xiaobao, who was not far away with his head lowered to make a plan. She smiled at Wei Wei and asked, Xiaobao, how far do you want to push Xinlua? Make them all lose their jobs. Create a limited situation where supply exceeds demand. How can that be? After all, the people of Xinlua don't have it easy. In the spirit of internationalism, I have to help them. Now I'm letting them buy things more cheaply. After a while, I'll help them find jobs. I'm a kind person. I can't bear to see others have a hard time. Every time I think about how there are still places in the world where people live in poverty, I feel that I haven't done enough. I don't think of myself as great. I just believe in God who benefits his people. Amitabha. May God's light illuminate the earth. God said that there should be light, so there was light. I said that I wanted to find them a job, so they had a job. Zhang Xiaobao had a pious look on his face. He placed one hand in front of his chest and began to draw a cross from bottom to top with his other hand. Xiaobao, I think you're only missing 2 horns on your head. Otherwise, you would be even more perfect. Why are you looking for a job? Wang Wan shook her head helplessly when she saw Zhang Xiaobao begin to criticize other people's religion again. Putting down his hand, Zhang Xiaobao scratched his head and said slowly, It's a job. The main way to solve the current problem is to increase domestic demand and transfer internal conflicts. It's best if we can sell the produced goods abroad. There's no need for domestic demand because the goods of Tang Empire are enough for them. The way to transfer internal conflicts is war. If they really dare to do it, then you'll take action and eliminate evil in the world. If we export goods, the price should be lower. We'll charge tariffs and increase the quality of the goods. In this way, Xinhua still seems to be in a difficult position. Therefore, I used my smart brain and came up with a good idea. That is to adjust the industrial structure of Xinhua and turn the original farming and handicrafts into mining and processing industries. Xinhua also has a lot of mines, gold mines, silver mines and copper mines. I'm willing to pay to buy the mines and hire the local people to work. At the same time, I'll smelt in their local area. This requires workers. Many jobs are left for them. I can even transport some of our raw materials to Xinhua for processing, such as the match manufacturing industry and the aluminum factory in the future. This way they can also come into contact with some technology. Less. I don't have the halo of God, but I have a heart that loves the world. I'm willing to work hard for the happiness of the world's people and pay everything for it. Zhang Xiaobao looked dignified and solemn, while Wang Wan was both angry and amused. Xiaobao, you're really shameless. You're full of evil tricks. Come here, let me take a good look at you. I'll punish you on behalf of the moon. As Wang Wan spoke, she moved closer to Zhang Xiaobao and reached out to pinch his face. She tugged and tugged at his face. Fine, I'll let you punish me in the evening. Rogue, you're not allowed to touch me. You're the one who's touching me now. That's also because you're a rogue. Li Dong finally couldn't bear the pressure from the imperial clan. He had someone bring a message to Zhang Tai again, saying that he had agreed. The businessmen of Xinhua would pay to connect the two rivers and build a bridge. He hoped that Zhengjing Construction could help to speed up the project. After receiving this news, Zhang Tai came here very righteously. Not only him. He also brought many commoners of Tang to help with the project. After getting a part of the money, Zhang Tai soon started the construction according to the original design. However, this time the labor force was not all from Xinhua. More than half of them were from Tang. Obviously, he was making money from Xinhua. However, the commoners of Xinhua didn't like that. They asked Li Dong why he didn't let them work. Previously, they didn't dare to let the Tang people earn money for no reason. Now that they knew that Li Dong was under great pressure, they came here. Li Dong hated Zhang Xiaobao so much that he gritted his teeth. Didn't he just destroy the original construction? Why did he have to take revenge on him? When the commoners of Xinhua found him, he found Zhang Tai and asked Zhang Tai to reduce the labor force of Tang and use more of Xinhua's people. He thought that Zhang Tai would find an excuse to refuse. Unexpectedly, Zhang Tai agreed very quickly. After removing the Tang people who were building the bridge and replacing them with the commoners of Xinhua, Li Dong once again thought that the sun had risen from the west. At the same time, he became even more vigilant. There must be something wrong. Sure enough, his premonition came true. 2 days later, the commoners of Tang united and found the construction site. They even put up a banner, saying that they were willing to work for half of the wages. Therefore, Zhang Tai found Li Dong and told him about this. He meant that he wanted the Tang people to work so that they could use the money they saved on materials. Although it was a discussion, it was actually an ultimatum. Li Dong then told the commoners of Xinhua about this matter. In the end, the commoners of Xinhua agreed to work for only a quarter of the original wages. 1 day's work was enough for a family to eat for a whole day. There was still some surplus, which was much better than not being able to find work. The commoners of Tang retreated. They could not afford such a low labor price. They ran to the side of Tang and started to help build restaurants and shops. The wage was enough for a family to eat and drink for 5 days. Li Dong wandered around for 2 days and found that the materials to build the bridge were the same as before. Furthermore, the tools to build the bridge were still the same. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that something was wrong. He then found Zhang Tai. Manager Zhang, there seems to be no changes to the materials you mentioned. Does that mean that the budget should be reduced? Li Dong did not beat around the bush with Zhang Tai and asked directly. Oh, about that, the price has increased. Many of the materials that were supposed to be sold to Zhengjing Construction were sold to Tang in advance because Tang was building restaurants and shops. Therefore, the money is still the same, but the materials are more expensive. I've tried my best to lower the price. It's not easy. Zhang Tai explained to Li Dong as if he had no other choice. Li Dong was furious. Haha, Manager Zhang. Who doesn't know that the buildings built by Tang belong to your young master? Then why do you have to involve us in your family's business? That's not right. Our Zhang family and Wang family's transactions are all handled independently. For example, between the clouds and the water and Blue Sea Silver Sand are both owned by our family. However, they compete with each other and even engage in price wars. Logically speaking, this shouldn't be the case. After all, when both sides engage in price wars, our family will profit less in the end. However, because the transactions are handled independently, the result is not uniform. The construction team in Tang is another team, not Zhengjing Construction. The merchants who deliver the goods are also in contact with us individually. If you don't believe me, you can buy them and see if the price is lower. Zhang Tai laid out the facts for Li Dong and reasoned with him. For a moment, Li Dong was at a loss for words. After gasping for breath, he finally recovered. Then why do the great Tang people who helped you build get a higher wage? That's because the other group is willing to pay them. Otherwise, I will pay them too. However, you have to pay more when the time comes. Otherwise, it won't be enough. I also have my difficulties. You have to understand. Zhang Tai spread out his hands and gave Li Dong such an answer. Well, I understand. I really understand. You don't need to pay for the processing. Our people are easy to deal with. Li Dong left in boredom. He had thought it through. No matter how the transactions were handled and how they were handled independently, in the end, he had to pay 3/4 of the money to the commoners of Tang. This was because the overall income and expenditure of the Zhang family and Wang family did not change. When they gathered again to discuss the matter, Li Dong did not hide anything and said to the businessmen, I want to kill people. I want to kill Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. They are too much of a bully. I heard that they have been fishing on the other side of the Mud River. I really want to find a chance to take care of the two of them so that the Tang Empire will have one less powerful person. Oh no, the young master and the young lady are in danger. Someone tried to assassinate them. They were driven into the woods. There's still no news about them. I don't know where they went. On the second day after Li Dong said that he wanted to assassinate Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, chaotic shouts sounded from the other side of the river. For a moment it was chaotic over there. Numerous people rushed to the Mud River and into the woods to look for Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. It didn't take long for this matter to spread to Xinlua. After hearing the news, the merchants who had gathered at Chongfeng restaurant yesterday to discuss matters all turned their gazes to Li Dong. He had said that he wanted to assassinate him. Someone leaked this news to Zhang Tai. Therefore, the guards of Zhang family and Wang family rushed to Li Dong's courtyard and surrounded the entire courtyard. They aimed their guns at all the possible places where people might appear in an unfriendly manner. Li Dong was dumbfounded. After understanding the situation, he wanted to cry but had no tears. He was wronged. Yesterday, he just said that to vent his resentment. How could such a thing happen today? It was said that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were very powerful. The two of them could shoot out a line with pistols. According to those who had been to Mount Hua, Zhang Xiaobao could fly over roofs and vault over walls. Wang Wan could also be a general on horseback. How could the two of them suddenly disappear? The news that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were assassinated and disappeared soon spread to all places. Of course, the Turks and Japan couldn't receive it. They didn't have such an advanced information transmission system. Without pigeons, they couldn't count on Tubo. The first to know about it were the people in the capital of Tang Dynasty. The pigeons quickly flew over, followed by the members of the imperial clan of Xinlua. When the people of the Zhang family and the Wang family heard that their son and daughter were assassinated and disappeared, they didn't believe it at all. Those were two immortals. According to the two of them, who valued their own safety the most, it was harder to assassinate them than to reach the heavens. Even so, the two families showed sad expressions to not let others see through them. When Empress Wang in the palace heard the news, she fainted. She treated Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan as her own children, even though she already had a pair of cute children. When Wu Huifei received the news, she was happy for a moment. However, it didn't take long before this happiness passed. She was very disappointed. The people that she had been trying to deal with were suddenly gone. She couldn't find any sense of accomplishment and felt that she had lost some spiritual sustenance. Gao Lisher hurriedly found Li Longji and cried bitterly. His godson was gone, who would be filial to him in the future? How could such two cute little fellows be assassinated just like that? Li Longji didn't cry, but he sat there in a daze as if he had lost his soul. His eyes stared straight at a certain place without the slightest focus. He muttered, "It can't be, right? Can't be, right? Can't be. If they are gone, what will happen to the Tang Empire? Who can control the entire northern Hebei province like them? Will the surrounding countries take action? How will the Tang Bank solve the trouble in the future? Who can lead the manufacturing of weapons? No one will send me fun things anymore, and I won't be able to taste the food they cook. Investigate, investigate for us, investigate thoroughly. No matter who did it, us will destroy him. Send out the decree. Hunan Circuit urgently send 30,000 strong soldiers, 10,000 navy soldiers, and 20,000 land soldiers to the Great Tang and Xinlua. If there is no news within half a month, us will destroy Xinlua at all costs." The sorrowful Gao Lisher quivered and nodded vigorously. He immediately went to grind the ink and wrote the imperial edict with trembling hands. He glanced at the emperor and saw that the emperor was still sitting there in a daze. He stamped the imperial seal on the edict and ran out as fast as he could. He ordered the military relay station to send the imperial edict to Hunan province. When most of the court officials heard the news, they showed a sad expression. They were looking forward to the safe return of Xiao Bao and Cuckoo. With the two of them they would feel at ease. They didn't have to worry about economic problems, and they didn't have to worry about who dared to start a war. A small number of people were gloating, wondering if they could take advantage of the absence of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan to find an opportunity to take over their family business. Zhang Shua was happy and afraid. He was happy that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan finally wouldn't fight for power with him. He was afraid that the two experts of the Zhang family and Wang family would get angry. He knew of the existence of the experts. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were the disciples of the two experts. He hesitated for a moment, not knowing what to do. The next morning, Li Longji came to his imperial bed with an uneasy expression. He glanced at the court officials and forced himself to calm down. He asked, "I believe that all of you already know about the matter between Xiao Bao and Cuckoo. Do you have something to say?" The court officials looked at each other. No one dared to make a sound. If they didn't do well, they might be sent away. "Yuan Xiang, you speak." Seeing that no one spoke, Li Longji began to call out names. He pointed to Yuan Qianyao. Yuan Qianyao slowly walked out, took a deep breath and said, "Your Majesty, Provincial Governor Zhang and the army have always been vigilant. I thought that nothing would happen to the two of them. Even if someone tried to assassinate them and they escaped into the forest, they would be able to return safely. Your Majesty, you must know that the army of Wang Wan used classic jungle tactics on the mountain of Tubo's Jinchuan. When Provincial Governor Zhang was climbing Mount Hua, he displayed the ability to leap onto roofs and vault over walls. The two of them also carried all kinds of weapons with them. Ordinary people would be lucky to be able to come out alive from their hands, let alone successfully kill them. I think that we can send an army to the border of Xinlua to put pressure on them. If they did it, they will definitely think of a way to withdraw the killers they sent. If they didn't do it, they will have to cooperate with the search." "Minister Zhang, you speak." Li Longji nodded and asked about Zhang Zhong. Zhang Zhong didn't want to speak. He was afraid that he wouldn't be able to act well. Of course, he couldn't tell Li Longji that no one could kill his son and daughter-in-law. Hearing the emperor's question, he could only stand up and reveal a sad expression. Your Majesty, don't worry. I will definitely manage the Ministry of Works well and let it research more new technologies to protect Tang Empire. Bullshit! Li Longji suddenly scolded. After scolding, he was stunned. The court officials who heard his voice were also stunned. It was too strange. The emperor actually scolded him. Xiao Bao is your son, but you don't care. You can treat your son like this today. Won't you treat my Tang Empire like this in the future? Li Longji was furious. Xiao Bao and Huan's safety was still unknown. So why did Zhang Zhong still bring up the matter of the Ministry of Works? The Ministry of Works was the Real Ministry of Works with the two of them supporting it. If they were gone, would Zhang Zhong be able to come up with his own research ideas? Wouldn't the expert in your family be sad to death? It wasn't easy for him to teach two powerful disciples. If they were really lost, he would probably go crazy. Zhang Zhong was very happy. At least the emperor treated his son and daughter-in-law well. He quickly lowered his head. This subject knows his mistake. In fact, this subject and this subject's family didn't rest at all last night. However, this subject didn't have any other choice. Fortunately, someone in my family helped me predict that Xiao Bao and Cuckoo would be fine. This subject could only listen and believe. Oh, is that true? Li Longji sat up straight and asked with flickering eyes. Yes. In any case, that's what the person who told this subject said. However, the two of them didn't look too good, so this subject could only believe it. Zhang Zhong said with uncertainty. Li Longji's mood, which had just improved, became uneasy again. He turned to Zhang Shua and asked, Prime Minister Zhang, do you have anything else to say? Zhang Shua came out and thought hard about how to answer. This was an opportunity, and it depended on how he grasped it. In an instant, countless thoughts flashed through his mind. In the end, he gritted his teeth and said, Your Majesty, this subject also thinks that Provincial Governor Zhang and Adjunct Officer Wang are good people who can avoid this incident. However, the Jili province they are in can't be without a ruler for a day. Why don't we send other officials to temporarily hold the fort and wait for the two of them to return before regaining power? This subject feels that Provincial Governor Zhang is thinking the same. The two of them are loyal to the imperial court and put the imperial court's affairs first. If we don't send people, the two of them will return after a long time. When they see the chaos in Jili province, they will be very sad. Your Majesty, for the sake of the two of them, should also send officials over. Luzhou, Tubo, and Feng province should also block the news to avoid causing unrest. For the sake of Provincial Governor Zhang and Adjunct Officer Wang, at the same time, send people to the three places to change the local leaders. Prime Minister Zhang, please step back. Today we won't talk about Xiao Bao and Cuckoo. Let's talk about other things. About the new technology in the smelting factory that can smelt good steel. Xiao Bao and Cuckoo once wrote a letter to their families in Lishur, saying that they want to build a railway. When the steam engine is perfected, we will make cars to make it convenient for our great Tang to travel around. My subjects, where should we test it first? When Li Longji heard Zhang Shua's words, he did not show any other expression on his face. Just like before, he did not mention the assassination of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. Gao Lishur glared at Zhang Shua fiercely. He was angry and relieved. He knew that Zhang Shua was done. After following the emperor for so long, he knew the emperor well. As long as there was a chance, Zhang Shua would be dealt with. When the people of Xinlua learned that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were assassinated and went missing, the people of the imperial clan were very happy. They knew the weight of the two of them in Great Tang. The sword meet on Mount Hua was organized by the two of them. It would be best if they died. That would cut off one of Li Longji's arms. The only thing they were worried about was that Great Tang would push the responsibility to them. Although they did not send anyone to assassinate them, they did have the idea, but they did not dare. Who was the one who helped them vent their anger? Li Dong was not a member of the imperial clan. He kept saying that he wanted to assassinate Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. Now that he had received the information, he was afraid. Not to mention the armed men outside, even the money invested. If something happened to the two of them and the money was not returned, who could he complain to? I've already been questioned 3 times. I'll probably have to continue. It's troublesome. If the two of them really die, the guards they brought will also kill themselves to vent their anger. I don't think the people of the imperial clan will care. Li Dong, who had been asked 3 times, returned home and saw that the people at home were not allowed to leave. He walked into the house and stood by the window as he muttered to himself. Another 2 days passed. This time, it was the protection team that came from Jili province on a fast boat. There were a total of 600 people, and they were fully armed. As soon as they entered the territory of Xinlua, they did not explain to anyone at all and directly scattered. Every 5 people were in a group. They changed to horses and galloped in Xinlua. When they encountered a large number of troops from Xinlua, they only said that they suspected that Xinlua had sent people to assassinate them and came to look for them. If they were found in Xinlua's territory, Xinlua would be waiting for revenge. Xinlua's troops were much more numerous than the 600 protection team, but none of the soldiers dared to find trouble. They could only watch as groups of people rode their horses in all directions. Then they would stop from time to look through binoculars and spread out a piece of paper to draw a map. There were soldiers who had seen the map by chance. No matter how they looked at it, they felt that the map looked like a map. They did not know if the people from the Zhang family and Wang family came to look for people or to draw a map. They told the officers, and the officers went to ask. The answer they got was that they had a map so that they could estimate the location of the evil people. The imperial clan of Xinlua knew that there were 600 people who had rushed in, but they did not intend to care. After all, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had been assassinated and disappeared. What if they said too much and let the Tang Empire vent their anger on them? Let alone the Great Tang, even the Zhang and Wang clans, with their wealth, could crush Silla with money regardless of the cost. With the arrival of the 600 people protecting the Miao, the 30,000 soldiers of the Hunan circuit of the Great Tang did not take too long to arrive at the border in 2 groups. 20,000 land troops and 10,000 navy troops were on standby at any time, ready for a strong attack. In the past, Xinlua had fought with the Tang Empire many times. They had fought in the Sui dynasty and later in the Tang dynasty. However, they had never been as timid as they were now. Not to mention sending troops to the border and asking Li Longji what he wanted to do, they did not even dare to mobilize their own troops easily. They were afraid that the Tang Empire would misunderstand. If they really touched the taut string, it would not be just 30,000 soldiers who would fight. Lu Zhou's gunships were gathering. They could attack along the way from the Blackwater Commander-in-Chief's mansion. There were also the local garrison in Jili State. They would be surrounded on all sides. Xiao Bao, let me carry you for a while. It's been so many days. It's quite tiring for you to carry me. On a mountain, Wang Wan walked in front of Zhang Xiaobao. Zhang Xiaobao followed behind with a radio on his back. Wang Wan was afraid that he would be tired, so she wanted to change. No need. This is just a few days. It's almost half a month. In half a month, I'll be able to see Xiaobei and the others. I miss them. Zhang Xiaobao adjusted his straps and shook his head. Wang Wan grinned. Don't lie to me. You want to go from North Korea to Inko in half a month. Not to mention the current road conditions, even if we ran a marathon back then, we couldn't do it unless we could maintain that speed. There are still 3 days to half a month. I promise we can get there. If we really can't, I'll send a telegram and ask Zhang Ying to send Shui Yun to pick us up. Didn't it find a companion? We can each have an eagle. You use the red one and I'll use the white one. Zhang Xiaobao was not in a hurry at all. He followed Wang Wan to the edge of the mountain top. Looking back, it was really quite steep. Wang Wan heard Zhang Xiaobao mention Shui Yun and said with a smile, I hope they can have children soon. It'll be good if they can give birth to dozens of children at once. They'll be able to perform exceptionally well. The inherited genes must be good. When the time comes, we'll make a big place for them. The protection must be strengthened so that when they push the children down, they won't fall to their deaths. We have to give them a few more chances. Who hasn't made a fool of themselves? Don't you think so? I heard that for creatures like eagles, even if the baby eagle can fly, it's better to break its wings and let it continue to fly. One is to train the baby eagle's perseverance. The other is to let the bones grow better and tougher. When the baby eagle is older, we can give Xiaobei and the others one each. They can be playmates at ordinary times. When they encounter danger, they can run with them just like you in the desert in Tubo. Zhang Xiaobao recalled what it was like at that time and smiled. The two of them took a short rest and then rushed in the direction of Jianan. Uncles, aunts, brothers, and sisters, listen to me. A few days ago, we watered the fields that had been planted and made a water wheel. My brother said that the winter here is so cold, even colder than Jili province, can freeze people to death. Then we can't continue to plant things like before, right? Xiaobei, the county magistrate, gathered more than 100 people under her rule today and said in a sweet voice. The people did not regard Xiaobei as a county magistrate at all. They just felt that Xiaobei was cute. They often saw her and were happy to talk to her. Of course, no one would look down on her. To be precise, they looked down on her identity. After all, she was a member of the Zhang family in Sanshui County. The reason why there were so few people in Jianan was that Zhang Xiaobao was recruiting people in Jili province and the various preferential policies given by the Tang Empire. With such an identity, no one would doubt that Xiaobei could make people live a good life. Even if she could not lead them to build the county well, she could transfer enough materials from other places. Some time ago, they had been following her to weed the fields and made a water wheel according to the method of the little guys. This year's harvest would not be bad and would be enough to eat until after next year's autumn harvest. Now that they heard Xiaobei talking, they did not know what she wanted to do. Xiaobei felt that she had done a good job. At least, she did not make them feel disgusted. Seeing that everyone was listening, she continued. In order to make everyone live a better life this year, I will teach you a way. That is, to make a greenhouse. There should be glass, but I don't have it yet. Let Sister Xiaozhu tell you what the first greenhouse in Sanshui County looks like. What do you think? B. The ones who answered were the children who had eaten the candy she gave. What do uncles, aunts, grandparents, what do you think? Xiaobei felt that they were not enthusiastic enough, so she asked again. Old Man Shi was the first to express his opinion. Okay, whatever our Xiaobei says is good. Xiaobei is a good official, the kind that is upright. Xiaobei was satisfied. Her small face smiled like a flower. She reached out and pulled Xiaozhu. Sister Xiaozhu, it's your turn. I can't remember what the greenhouse looks like. Xiaozhu stood out a little nervously. Her ability to organize her words was far worse than Xiaobei's. It was not easy for her to express her meaning clearly, but she could not say the steps of building a greenhouse. In the past, she had seen her brother and sister show them how to build a greenhouse. So, she could only take out a pen and paper and let the others gather around to watch. She would draw for them so that they could understand. The people here really did not know how to build a greenhouse. They only heard that with a greenhouse they could also plant in the winter. It was not like in the past, where they had to dry the vegetables in the sun or in the shade before winter. When there was nothing to eat, they could take them out and soak them in water. Then they could eat them. At this time, the season had just entered autumn. There was no frost yet. The leaves on the trees were still green and did not turn yellow. They swirled and fell. The common people remembered the steps of building a greenhouse. Li Bai also watched from the side. Ever since he came here, he had not played any role. Although the 9 little guys were small, they really supported the Yaman's work. Xiao Yuan remembered everyone's name, including the relationship between them. The Yaman's accounts were memorized by Xiao Hai. When Xiao Bei asked for data, she could answer as soon as she opened her mouth. Xiao Zhu was in charge of drawing the map. Big man, small man, and the other 3 children who had not come here and should have grown up in the mountains also helped. The population was small to begin with. The 9 children worked hard together with 100 small guards to tear down and repair the houses here in preparation for winter snow. Through this period of observation, Li Bai was very puzzled. Could it be that the children of officials were really so powerful? Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had been talked about like gods. Now the 9 children also began to show their abilities. If one did not see it with their own eyes, no one would believe it. It seemed that Confucius was not lying when he said that he was born with knowledge. Ganluo also existed. He could feel it from Xiao Bei and the others. The common people surrounded Xiao Zhu to look at the map. Xiao Bei was free. Seeing Li Bai standing on the side, she walked over and tugged at his clothes. She said, "Brother Li Bai, building a greenhouse like this requires materials. If there is no bamboo, you have to find a way to break the wood. Also, choose the location. When the fire is burning, you can't let the smoke get in. It's best to have a chimney to guide the smoke." Okay. Li Bai nodded and agreed. Just as he agreed, he was troubled again. He whispered to Xiao Bei, "But I don't know how to do it. The heavens have fallen and the common people suffer. If they don't drink today, they will drink tomorrow. If you ask the immortals about farming, they will only say that it is in the fields." Brother Li Bai, now is not the problem of the immortals. It is the common people's problem. Don't you want to be an official? You have to familiarize yourself with it. Xiaoyuan, don't you think so? Xiao Bei was a little angry. Li Bai was always reciting poems. When it came to serious matters, he did not say anything. He even waited for his brothers and sisters to recommend him. How could he be like this? Xiaoyuan came over and nodded. Yes. If you don't do farming, how can you accumulate wealth? If you don't do business, how can you accumulate wealth? If you don't do politics, how can you govern the people of the 4 seas? If you don't do fortifications, how can you make people convenient? Li Bai was a little embarrassed by the question. He raised his head and said, "I can flatten the 4 barbarians and give advice. That is enough." Xiao Bei curled his lips. "Brother Li Bai, you can't do this. I promise that my brothers and sisters will definitely not recommend you. Even if they do, they will arrange for you to sing and dance. If my brothers and sisters don't recommend you, others won't dare to. Even if they do, it will be useless. Uncle Emperor won't listen to others. I also promise myself that even if you are recommended by a prince, I will join forces with others to impeach you. If you don't do practical things, isn't that cheating people? You say that you want to come up with a plan. Well, you can come up with one now and wait for me to send it to my brothers and sisters." Xiao Bei was threatening him. Li Bai's expression did not look good. He believed in Xiao Bei's ability. He had already learned that Xiao Bei had 9 people to impeach 2 officials. There was also a corruption official who was originally caught. Because of the 9 people protecting Xiao Bei, nothing happened to him at all. Instead, he was promoted. It was too unfair for 9 children to have so much power. He really couldn't do anything about it. He seemed to be angry and said, "Okay, I'll do the greenhouse thing first. Then I'll write a memorial for Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan to see." That's right. I'm not afraid of doing wrong, but I'm afraid of not doing it. Brother Li Bai, if you really do it, it's okay if you miss a little bit. If you don't know how to do it, you can learn. I'm trying my best to learn from my brothers and sisters. Let me tell you, I'm actually very stupid. I'm not as steady as Big Boy and Little Boy. I'm not as good at calculating as Brother Xiao Hai. I'm not as smart as Xiaoyuan, and I don't know how to draw. Chapter 852. Bang! A gunshot rang out in the forest, echoing in the air. Zhang Xiaobao put away his gun and walked diagonally forward. As he walked, he said happily, "We have rabbits to eat today again." There are rabbits to eat every day. You only know how to shoot rabbits. Wang Wan had obviously eaten too many rabbits and was not very satisfied. I want to shoot a tiger, but it seems like we can't finish it with our stomachs. Can you drag a big tiger with you? It's shameful to waste food. If you really want to change things up, you can start shooting tomorrow. Or you can also get some pheasants to eat. Zhang Xiaobao spoke honestly. There were many animals nowadays. If he brought a gun when he went out, he did not have to worry about starving himself. The only regret was that there were only 2 people. If they shot a slightly bigger rabbit, they would not be able to finish it. Wang Wan was in charge of observing the surrounding situation with binoculars. She stood guard for Zhang Xiaobao. When Zhang Xiaobao came back with a rabbit, she opened her backpack and took out seasoning. She found a place with fewer trees and began to pick up the dry branches on the ground. Let's roast it today. Rabbits roasted with pine branches have a pine fragrance. Zhang Xiaobao took out a knife and said as he cleaned up the rabbit. In fact, it was because there was no river nearby, so he could not clean it. He still had to drink the water he carried. Wang Wan did not object this time. She used a shovel to dig a hole in the ground. It could block the wind and prevent the fire from jumping out and igniting the entire forest when they were roasting. While watching Zhang Xiaobao busy there, she asked, "Should we get someone to send a message to Beijing to prevent others from worrying too much? If someone really thinks that the 2 of us are dead and causes some trouble, we will have to deal with it when we go back. I won't send it. I just want to see who will make a move to deal with our industry and other administrative arrangements. It's not a big deal to spend some effort. When the same thing happens again in the future, people will not dare to act rashly." Zhang Xiaobao laughed mischievously. He used a knife to cut a slightly thicker branch and scraped away as much pine oil as possible. Then, he lifted the rabbit up and slowly turned it over the fire. At the same time he said to Wang Wan, "I reckon that very few people will make a move at this time. After all, the officials who have the ability to know about our family's situation are afraid of our master. That master is not as simple as he says. This is the benefit of pretending to be mysterious. Those who don't have the opportunity to know about this information don't have the ability to shake our business." A few days ago, didn't the news from the capital say that Zhang Shua had discussed with Li Longji how to get hold of our forces after learning of our disappearance? Looks like he's done for. It's about time. It's been so long, don't you think so? Yes, if it weren't for us, he would have gone down long ago. Moreover, he would have gone down very miserably. However, not only does he not know how to thank us, he also wants to deal with us. It's really too hateful. Wang Wan also agreed. After thinking for a while, she suddenly asked Zhang Xiaobao, "Do you think we should still deal with Li Linfu? His position now seems to be more stable. If we want to deal with him, we have to do it early. We can't expect him to make mistakes. Deal with him. Who knows if he will become the Prime Minister again? We can't let our guard down. However, I don't think we should kill him. According to what you said, he is still very capable. Then, we should arrange for him to be in a suitable position." Zhang Xiaobao used a knife to cut the rabbit's body. Blood kept flowing out from the cut. Drops of blood fell on the fire below, making a sizzling sound. The night deepened. A bright moon gradually rose, dimming the stars in the sky. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan found a high ground. They took out the small tent they had brought with them and lit 3 fires outside. They used the radio to send a message to the people in Jili province that they were safe. Then they sat outside the tent together and enjoyed the charming scenery. They made a bowl of juice with the water they had brought and handed it to Wang Wan. Zhang Xiaobao also drank a mouthful and said, "If I had known that the journey would be so difficult, I would have brought some dried vegetables when I came out. Why do I feel that my body is lacking vitamins now?" "You are so delicate. In just a few days you know that you lack vitamins. Previously you said that you would arrange a job for Li Linfu. Have you thought about the details?" Wang Wan held the bowl and looked into the depths of the forest. The bright moon could not make it bright. She thought of Zhang Xiaobao's words and asked, "I just thought about it. In the future I will let him work here. The Northeast is a big place with rich resources. The climate doesn't change much in 4 seasons. It is suitable for him to develop. You can't speak against your conscience. When has the Northeast not changed much in 4 seasons? There is no population. Other than Jili province, you have basically moved everyone away. As they were talking, there was a sound from the radio. Wang Wan hurried over to receive it. After a while, Wang Wan said to Zhang Xiaobao with a bad expression, "The Japanese seem to be taking action." Japan. Action against our disappearance. They don't seem to have radio technology, right? Zhang Xiaobao was stunned. It's not the Japanese island. It's from Huainan province. They are in the Four Seas Academy and want to join forces with the students of Xinhua. They want to form an alliance between the 2 places. Wang Wan explained. That's not slow. Seems that they really care about us. Something just happened and they reacted. How are the details? I'm still investigating. It hasn't arrived yet. Do you think we should speed up the development of radio? What's going on now? We have to run with the radio on our backs. Every once in a while our people will follow us. The distance of the signal transmission is too short. Wang Wan suddenly thought of a key problem. Although she and Zhang Xiaobao came out in name, in fact, many people were arranged to carry the radio on their backs. It was like a transit station. They had to transfer many times in the middle to send and receive a message. Zhang Xiaobao nodded. Okay, we'll launch a satellite tomorrow. Let's get one up first and cover the place where we are. What do you think? Okay, you can carry the satellite up. Comrade Wang Wan, don't bite off more than you can chew. It's already not bad. This time we came out just in time to let the team practice the problem of information conversion. The Japanese move quickly. Maybe they were the ones who started the alliance with Xinhua and the Turks. I knew that place was a wolf that couldn't be raised well, so I never planned to raise it. After I finish off Xinhua, I'll take the time to deal with them. Where were we just now? Li Linfu came to the Northeast to develop, right? As Zhang Xiaobao spoke, he threw a few pieces of pine wood into the fire beside him. As he listened to the crackling sound and looked at the red, yellow and blue colors, he was a little lost in thought. Wang Wan entered the tent and took out 2 pieces of clothes. She put one on each of them and said, "Yes, how are we going to develop in the Northeast? Without people we can't do anything. Let Li Linfu come over to protect the resources, especially the places with minerals. Draw out an area and turn it into an animal sanctuary. We can't say that in order to protect the environment, we won't develop the entire Northeast region. We have to draw out an ecological area. We have to circle the largest mineral resources, such as oil and metal mines. Then we won't develop it." Wang Wan asked. "Develop it? Leave it for a few thousand years later. When the resources in other places on Earth are almost used up, we'll develop it. If we use it now, we can go to other places to get it. We're not afraid of the distance. At that time, we'll leave a rule to tell future generations that it's not that your ancestors can't find the mineral resources, but that your ancestors have the ability to rob others. The mineral resources will be left for you. When you feel that you don't have the ability to rob others, you can take it out and use it." The night wind was cold. Zhang Xiaobao tightened his clothes. Wang Wan leaned on Zhang Xiaobao and said, "You still care about future generations. Just take care of yourself. It's okay to take care of yourself. Let Li Linfu come over to build roads and railways all the way to Russia in our time. From there we'll transport oil out. At the same time, we'll find all the places in the Tang Empire with oil and natural gas and draw them into protected areas. When it's easier for the fleet to travel to and from other continents, we'll send them out to mine, smelt locally, and transport the metal back. We'll dig a hole in the Tang Empire and bury it for preservation. It's not good to bury the metal directly, right? Then we'll transport the ore back and bury it." Zhang Xiaobao started to become enthusiastic about this matter. He really had such a plan. While others weren't developing it, he would snatch back as much as he could. After saying this, he nudged Wang Wan. Go to sleep first. I'll wake you up to keep watch when I'm sleepy. We'll be able to reach Xiaobei's place before winter. Why don't you say before summer? In a while, if you ask others to transport the ore back, will they really transport it? They can't even smelt it when they transport it back. Are they that patriotic? Or are you planning to pay for it? Wang Wan leaned on Zhang Xiaobao and narrowed her eyes. Tax deduction. In the future, all goods that are directly transported back from the outside will be heavily taxed. If you don't want to take so much money, transport the ore and oil back to Shinlua in Japan. They can smelt it there and solve the problem of unemployment in the two places. Too kind. Okay, then you're so kind. I'm going to sleep. You can keep watch until tomorrow morning. Wang Wan stood up and went into the tent. Well, when we go back, let's get married. We're not young anymore. Zhang Xiaobao turned his head and shouted. Okay, do as you see fit. After the engagement, we'll live separately. I'll wait for you to marry me in my boudoir. Then forget it. I'll persevere for a few more years. August, the harvest season in various places. The people who had worked for a year began to enjoy the fruits of autumn. The officials, on the other hand, were busy. They needed to allocate all kinds of resources. The busiest person was Zhang Shua. It wasn't that the head of the secretariat was busy. He had nothing to do with the head of the secretariat. Compared to the historical events that Wang Wan and Zhang Xiaobao had told him, Zhang Shua was undoubtedly much luckier. He was not imprisoned. As he always thought about Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan's Jili province and occasionally mentioned it, Li Longji fulfilled his wish and arranged for him to be in a place not too far away from Jili province. Fanyang Jidushi was an official position with real power. It governed many provinces, and it was the kind of place where Wang Wan's family lived. This position had more power than Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan combined. It was also not far from Shanhai Pass. It could be said that it took care of each other with the place where Zhang Xiaobao dug coal. He and Zhang Xiaobao were both important figures. It could be said that they allowed Shanhai Pass to sit in the key position of the unparalleled lock of the two capitals, the first pass of the Great Wall of China. As a result, the court was harmonious. Those who had supported Zhang Shua also began to do practical things and no longer continued to speak. Li Longji wanted Minister Zhang from the Ministry of Works to be the Prime Minister, which was also a position under the Hall of Secretaries. However, Minister Zhang refused because he was too inexperienced. Then Li Longji scolded Minister Zhang, mainly scolding Minister Zhang's son and daughter-in-law. His reason was that why they didn't say anything earlier when they were still breathing. They caused him to not eat or sleep well for a long time. Zhang Shangshu tactfully explained that he had mentioned it before. Someone had calculated and said that his son and daughter-in-law were fine. But this did not make Li Longji's anger disappear. In a fit of anger, he removed Zhang Shangshu's son and daughter-in-law from their positions as provincial governor and military officer. He set up a new position of Bohai Jidushi, making the two of them the head and the deputy head. They had control over more than 10 governor manors and protectorate manors. The two of them had no time to continue playing games as a punishment. The grain for this year's autumn harvest had not been shipped over, but the taxes had been paid first. Now that it was convenient to pay taxes, there was no need to ship the money to the capital. They could directly deposit it in the Great Tang Bank. Li Longji looked at the money in the account book, his eyes shining. He was rich, he was really rich. With a wave of his pen and a stamp of his seal, he ordered the Great Tang Bank to issue $1 billion of national debt this year. It was an issue, not a repayment. If it was to be repaid, the first 5-year period was not up yet. The main reason was a ship that had set off from Jili Prefecture. The ship was heading toward the capital. It had to stop on the way, and its speed was slower than a sailboat or a ship. However, when this ship was going against the current, it did not use sails or wheels. It did not even need people to row it, and it could not find a boatman. Although there were always problems along the way and it needed to be fixed, it was still a new thing. Especially when the news came back yesterday that the ship had not broken down for half a month. It was about to enter the capital, and the people of the capital could see something new. For the stability of the country, Li Longji had no choice but to encourage the development of technology. Thus, he borrowed money from the people to make steel and build railways. According to his thinking, if a ship could work, then so could a carriage. Thus, Li Longji wanted to build a railway to connect the capital and Luoyang. Oh, there were two. The current technology could not allow a train to cross a river. The bridge could be used by people, but it could not be used by carriages. The series of changes in the imperial court did not have a direct impact on the people. The people did not care about those things that they could not worry about. They only knew that they had earned more money this year, and they wanted to buy some luxury goods. For example, they wanted to buy a small glass wine cup with a reduced price. They wanted to pay the price of a pig to buy a set. For example, they wanted to buy a beautiful pearl necklace. They sold half a pig to buy a smaller one. For example, the people of the capital took advantage of the warm weather, gritted their teeth, took out a sum of money, and brought their family to the lake to spend some money. No one bragged about the Tang dynasty's long-term stability, and no one deliberately gave Li Longji a watch. However, Li Longji, who had secretly sneaked out, was very happy to see the people wearing beautiful clothes on the street. In the tea house, accompanied by armed guards, he listened to the storyteller talk about the current situation of the Tang dynasty. Li Longji drank 2 pots of tea of unknown grade and gave out 100 banknotes. He even added a few words to the storyteller, such as the matter of the Black Water Governor's mansion. If it were not for the guards stopping him, the founder of the Pear Garden really wanted to chase the storyteller away and personally sit in that position to say, "Traveling the south and drinking tea, the water in the river, the water in the lake, listen to me, there is black water in the Bohai prefecture." Unfortunately, a wish was a wish after all. It did not come true, let alone get some rewards and fill the treasury. Compared to the imperial court officials and the people of the Tang dynasty who enjoyed a wealthy life, the members of the Xinlua imperial family and the people were at a critical moment of hard work. Driven by the dream of making a fortune, the members of the Xinlua imperial family supported the people to quickly build the 2 rivers. Now only a few months had passed and a miracle had really happened. With an explosion, the river was connected. The bridge that had been built first was also suspended in the air at this moment. It was placed on a wooden board and became the land road that the Tang dynasty and Xinlua had to take. Xiaobao, the news has come. The river and the bridge have been connected. Can we not wander around anymore and arrive at Jianan earlier? You're not really planning to arrive before the end of next year, are you? In the mountains, Wang Wan received a new telegram and said to Zhang Xiaobao, who was mending his clothes beside her. Zhang Xiaobao, stop. It's connected. It's good that it's connected. This is not only convenient for transportation. Once the 2 rivers are connected, it will become a natural border in the future. Even if we can't directly annex Xinlua, as long as our descendants aren't so stupid, it's impossible for them to give up that position. It's more stable than the 38th parallel. Then when are we going to Jianan? We've only been going around in circles with you in the mountains. You're not planning to let us wear animal skins to meet Xiaobei and the others, are you? Wang Wan looked at her clothes that were about to tear up and complained. Zhang Xiaobao nodded repeatedly. We're not far from Jianan. We'll definitely arrive in 3 to 5 days. Comrade Wang Wan, I'm not criticizing you. Aren't we doing this to inspect the terrain and grasp all kinds of resources so that we can develop them? Especially medicinal herbs and unique plants in the northeast region. Have you forgotten the spirit of not being afraid of hardship and fatigue? Think about the 25,000 yuan back then. Think about it with your back to the yellow sky and face the earth. Think about it again. Zhang Xiaobao, if you don't know how to talk, then don't talk, okay? What nonsense. If you want to grasp resources, can't you send more people over? How much can we grasp with just the 2 of us wandering around? If we continue to wander around, we'll really lack vitamins. No wonder you brought so many tea leaves. Turns out that you already had a plan. You knew that you would have to eat meat for a long time. 3 days. If we walk for 4 days, I'll definitely sleep separately from you. Wang Wan gritted her teeth to express her dissatisfaction. Isn't it just to let you relive the feeling of training in the past? 3 days it is. Zhang Xiaobao continued to patch the clothes. No need. I've already graduated. If you want to personally recall the time when you were hunted, I can find Zhang Hu and ask him to let the dogs out. What do you want to do? We're in a hurry. Otherwise it'll be too late. Actually, I just want to take you out on a trip. In this Tang dynasty, I've never felt a sense of belonging. Only when I see you do I feel that it's real. Otherwise, I'll always feel like I'm in a dream. People say that only when you become a real man can you have a sense of responsibility. Let's hurry up and get married. Can't you think of something else? Something else? Are you saying that even if we don't get married we can still become a man? Xiaobao, I'll kill you. No, I'll castrate you. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Uncle, aunt, grandpa, grandma, brother, sister, we're going to have a meeting now. In the big yard of the yamen in Jian County, Xiaobei gathered all the people in the county. There were more than 100 of them, including 2 newborns. They said that they were going to have a meeting. Li Bai sat at the side and took notes of the meeting. Driven by the temptation of being able to enter the imperial court, he became much darker. He mainly worked in the field. Now he knew how to farm and some breeding techniques. He also wrote a lot of idyllic poems. He had the style of Wang Wei. It was very magical. He was forced to do so. People soon quieted down. Even the babies stopped crying. They listened to the cute and sensible little girl speak. It's like this. Today we raised pigs and chickens. We can eat them next year. Did you see the eagle that flew here a few days ago? It's called Shui Yun. It said that my brother and sister are coming. We've also planted the greenhouse. This autumn harvest, we've harvested a lot of food. It's enough for us to eat for 3 years. After all, I'm an official. I was appointed by Uncle Emperor. I want to send some rent this year and pay taxes next year. I want to discuss with everyone. Is it okay? After all, it's the land that you planted. There are also tributes such as bear gall, ginseng, and deer antler. Xiaobei discussed with everyone. She seemed very embarrassed. If she didn't come, they naturally wouldn't hand over anything. No one would come here to collect it. Hearing Xiaobei's words, the people in the county fell silent. Xiaobei felt a lot of pressure. She pursed her lips and her eyes turned red. It seemed that she would cry at any moment. I'll say a few words. Old man sure spoke first. The others looked at him. I'll say that I don't know much. I only know that Xiaobei and the others came and helped us do a lot of work. They also taught us a lot of methods. I don't know how to raise animals in a greenhouse. I also don't know how to exchange herbs for a lot of money. Xiaobei said that it's okay not to pay rent. If everyone doesn't want to pay, then don't pay. But I have to pay. Have to pay my share. I don't want to think about how high Xiaobei's position is. I only think that if Xiaobei and the others didn't help to shoot the wild beasts, someone would have been injured or killed. I'll just say what I think. Xiaobei is an official. She was appointed by His Majesty. Therefore, she has to protect the people under her rule. As a citizen, we can't just wait for the imperial court to protect us. Isn't this reasonable? Why should she? I'll pay too. Someone also expressed his opinion. When there was one, there was a second. Not long after, the matter of paying rent this year was settled. Xiaobei also revealed a happy smile. You're tuning in to the Whispers of Romance YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.